Welcome to Wizard Team, a black magical podcast for black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, and today we're discussing chapters 12 through 14.
Previously on Wizard Team, Bree entered. Okay, I don't know why I thought this was chapters ago in my brain, and it's just hitting me how wild it was that last episode. This is where we were. So. Bree pulled up into the lodge and was like,
easy peasy.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here to see Nick. Like, hello, hi. I'm here for Nick. And she did not understand the magnitude of what she was saying, but picked up slightly.
She's about to.
She slightly picked up on the fact that the person who greeted her at the door, Sar, was like, oh, okay, cool. And this, like, brought her in, no questions asked. She said Nick, that was the password, she got in. Nick had to show up out, like, again. In my mind, Nick was, drafting his email to the Dean McKinnon and being like, I quit the mentor program. I can't do this with her. I just can't do it. And in the middle of him composing this message, he got a phone call from Sar saying, like, hey, so cool that you want to be part of the order now. Your page is here. And he's like, my who? And she was like, the girl, what's her name? Bree. What? And he ran out the door. That's what I picture happened when Nick got word. He's
that email's still in drafts.
Just collecting gigabyte dust. Just so sad. When he shows up, he, of course, is not happy about this. This man had to rush out the door. And he did not want anything to do with the order. And he tried to tell her, hey, don't be writing these words out on paper and pass them to me in class. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want to talk to you about it. Let's leave that alone. And here she is. But for Bree, this is easy peasy. Like, it's already super easy because she just walked in the door without having to do anything. She just said Nick's name. So, of course, this is something she can do. And while she sees how pissed Nick is with her, she's gonna, like, downplay that, being like, I am here for answers, and I gotta leave here with something, because my mama died, and I gotta know what is going on, because magic is involved, and if the order got something to do with it, then I'm gonna find out. Nick commiserates with her, because he has his own mama problem, so he's like, I see you, I'm gonna hold my breath through this all, and I'm gonna try to take care of it. It's gonna work out. But the thing is they only have 10 minutes together before the ceremony begins that everyone is eagerly awaiting the beginning of. So Bree just didn't pop up on any regular Tuesday. She rolled up on a ceremony Tuesday when everything is about to pop off for the order.
Order going up.
She does not know this.
On a Tuesday. Take leave oath if you choose it. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not. Sorry.
Bree she knows nothing. She's
Jon Snow
into it. She has stepped into it, and she is leaving her. It's gonna be a mess. So they walk into the ceremony space. Like, it's not like there's no. First off, she has to walk through, like, what is this place that she's actually in. So she gets a tour with the other pages, and people are, like, looking at her sideways, like, who are you? Not only on some, like, you're the only black face in this very white space kind of way, but also because everybody who's ever been through there and has something to do with the ceremony is tied to the order already, and they ain't seen her ever in their lives, so she's not familiar to these parts. And initially, she's very aware of this. We get our freaking our understanding that, like, there are other people who feel slightly outsider there, like Greer, but they're not necessarily, like, they again are part of the vassal family, so they're not really that outside of the way. And she keeps hearing different things about the Merlins, specifically how they have these manacles that they used during the witch trial. So that's D&D, and they are regulating how other people use magic. Also interesting, also very intriguing. Tor, while they're like going she's not even in a space of like being ingrained into the culture yet, and yet here she comes Tor being like, it's our most diverse class ever, and Bree's the only person of color who's in that room, notably in that room, not passingly in that room, and it's just a mess. And she comes out with this manacles, and she's like, what are these? And we all know what manacles symbolize in the South, so there's that as well. So she's just, her brain ain't ready for this. If she might have known that, had she heeded Nick's words, I don't know. Perhaps maybe she just like called Nick while she was sitting. Maybe like she should have toyed with Nick a little bit, be like, I'm in front of the lodge, and he could have just came up and talked to her before she stepped in the door. I just feel like there's better ways to go about this. Finally, Bree is led with the rest of the page class into a space, and suddenly it's dark, and suddenly there are 8 figures sitting in front of them. They move them blindfolded into an area, and all she knows is they're outside, and she has to step down some stairs. They get past these stairs. Nick starts to try to talk to her a little bit, and who comes flying out the trees? Like a demon.
Like a spider monkey.
That he is accusing her of. No.
Sorry, no. I pictured Batman.
The energy that he gave, it was demon time. He was on demon time.
Spider monkey is more blood marked when he just be putting Bree on his back and running, and I just be like,
yeah, that is blood marks.
There's a moment in this one too, I think, and they make
okay, but he was on demon time. This is late at night, and he was coming through them trees, 100%. Crawling and ready to fight Bree on sight. That's demon energy. Okay, those are the demons that Bree's church folk that she remembered growing up with, if they heard about. If her grandmama knew who Cell was, she would call Cell a demon.
We don't mess with demons.
That was what's happening in this moment. That's a demon right there. And then, so instead of being able to take Bree down, if she is this Eichel character I forget the pronunciation. Look, this is my problem.
No, I think it's
Ickle.
No, Isel is the
Eichel.
like that, but the other one is I think it's Ickle.
This is the Ickle character that Bree.
I will say that if you listen to the audiobook, I think the narrator says Uchel.
Okay, but
she could be doing. She's probably saying it wrong. But
also,
I was
gonna say because she does say how to. I was gonna say like Tracy does say how to pronounce it.
My thing is like,
because Bree also doesn't know how to say Welsh, so she says like it's like a
I'm gonna
Tracy writes it. That's why I'm trying to use the example. But at the same time, my thing is, I want to respect people's cultures, but I also don't care to respect white people's cultures, so I don't make it too much.
I fell on my chair. No. Here's the thing, though.
And I feel like I have the right to do that because I want to make blood in my family.
I want to make a
whiteness.
distinction for myself.
So I'm able to do this.
Sorry, for myself. I want to make a distinction for myself. I don't respect white culture because white culture is just an amalgamation of shit that is like, we are white and so we are better than you. But I do respect like the actual cultures, distinct culture. Yeah, distinct white cultures. Like Welsh.
Sure.
Especially Ireland, because I just give the Irish, like, they've been through some shit. These American, these new Irish, these white Irish, I don't fuck with them. But, like...
I'm saying I'm going to put more energy behind people of Black.
Yes.
In particular. Indigenous right after. And then the rest of the BIPOC family right after that. Ahead of any other respect I will give to any other cultures. And I will go harder to try to understand some things than understand some things by colonizers. You know what I mean?
I get you.
That's just where I am.
Indeed.
I appreciate it.
So I will try to reinforce the words, and I may just drop some things at some point with the Welsh because it's just doing too much for my mouth and my brain.
And Welsh is like ridiculously.
It is a lot.
There's one word in here we'll get to that literally has like one vowel. It's like a 6-letter word with one vowel. And 3 of those letters are D. Huh?
I said, isn't the vowel Y?
No.
Yes. I feel like there's like a Y. I think there's 2 vowels. I think one is a Y and one is an I.
There is a word that's like YW. And you're like, what the fuck is that? Get out of my face with that shit. YW?
Like, y'all
playing.
Like, yeah, again, and I think there's, okay, this is a total tangent, but this is like a thing. Like, I feel like people who study languages have mentioned that the more that you live in a culture, the more that your like mouth like becomes formed to like say the words of the culture. Mm-hmm. So if like you don't like grow up, mm-hmm. yeah, like and immerse like your mouth, like your like it takes work to make your mouth do a thing, whereas someone else has been in that culture, like their mouth is like it's been formulated to do like start doing that movement. And I'm like, again, precedence to the people of color, I will sit there and try to study what's going on. I'm not gonna spend too much time. I will take what I'm given and I will use it, but I'm not gonna go any deeper than that. And whenever Tracy gives the pronunciations, I'll try to use them if I can remember. Finally, to finish this wrap up, is Cell successful in taking Bree down because she as the demon that he says that she is? No, because 1, she's not the demon. If anyone's given demon energy, it's him. 2, he really thought that Nick was going to just let him run up on his page, like, or on the candidate that he brought in here. He really thought Nick was just going to be like, oh, yeah, no, go on and fight her. Really? You didn't think he was going to just try to step in front of you? As he does. And before they can go full angsty, whatever love fight this is, in steps Nick's father, who appears not unlike a Pokemon professor when you're playing a Pokemon game and they just like pop out. You're like, where did you come from? That's how I felt about Dr. Davis popping up. And he puts Cell in his place, which we can talk about that at some point because that is important. And he is very happy to see Nick there. He's kind of stunned out of words. He says that he feels like he needs to thank Bree for that because he doesn't feel like his son would be there otherwise. And he threatens Cell with calling, like, using, like, the mental health of, like, Merlin's against him. So we know there's some fishy things going on between how Mr. Davis, Dr. Davis, likes to roll. And that is the end. That's where we are.
As what's it called? It's so weird to hear Mr. and Dr. Davis.
As such a family.
Who was
It's not your father.
As someone who was what's it called? My father and my grandfather. Someone descended from those people, unfortunately. The white one's not my father and grandfather. They're cool, but someone with that last name. Mm-hmm. It would be like, I'm glad they start calling him Lord Davis because it's easier to like picture, dude. But yeah.
I hate Lord Davis. Actually.
I don't understand why.
He is it's very pretentious. Like it's very like
Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the whole thing.
No, I think that on
like,
like
is he title gentry and Wells? And like I know he's Scotch Irish. Does he have is he landed with a title?
Yeah, because Arthur. That's why. That's like it's not.
But where is the title? Like, do you have the landed title in the kingdom?
Oh, of course he doesn't.
In which you're saying.
Of course he doesn't. I'm not saying it's not pretentious and like ridiculous. All of this is, but you know, for my own like who I picture when I hear those titles, or those like
it's not your father.
So exactly. So I'm like, fine, cool. I know who this is. I will say this like recap was really funny to me just because like again like you said like we just we've read the chapters we're about to discuss, and so the way it just like escalates and just like put herself in some shit.
It's she really is living the meme. You gonna learn today. Like, she really is gonna learn.
No, that
today.
gift. Oh no, baby, what
out.
is you doing? Is that is how
She's
we
all
could
of
have?
them.
That's how we could have recapped. So, recap of last episode. Oh no, baby, what is you doing?
No, I'm saying about, like, this is coming forward.
Oh yeah,
She gonna learn
moving.
today.
Yes, and moving forward, it's you gonna learn today.
She gonna learn today.
So I did. I love Google and modern technology in this phrase. I pulled it up how to pronounce Echo.
I will repeat again. Achel.
Echo. Can you hear it? Yeah.
Achel.
I don't know.
Achel.
We're getting.
We were close.
I think, but I'm thinking it's like a sound, because I think that's
Achel.
what she's that like. I don't. Can the
Yeah.
computer make that?
Do I know?
I don't know,
Look,
but
I just know that if an actual Welsh person were to come in this room and to say these
Y'all would be
words,
so mad.
I was nodding along with them.
Mhm.
Like, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
But also, if you're, we have a voice note feature in Anchor.
yes, we do.
If
We
you-
have a
if you-
voicemail. You can leave us a voicemail if you are
you-
Welsh, study Welsh, know how to speak Welsh, and not just Echo, but all these goddamn
All
words.
of the words.
all of them.
Oh my
All
God.
of them.
There
You
are
could
moments they
just,
start
you know-
speaking in full sentences, and I'm like, I can't
Ooh,
even.
the
And you got
line
it.
of liege, or the line is law, that Welsh phrase, the line is law, the
yeah.
law of line, that's the one I'm talking about, where like one word is it's just spelled YW, and I said fuck you, fuck you, and then the other one is 4 D's, it's DDDEDF or some shit like that. Like,
I would like to know.
And I feel like, I want to say this. I want to respect any culture who, when forced by colonizers to try to translate
Right.
their language into the colonizer language,
Mhm.
they're like, I'm going to F this up for you, because you ain't going to just learn my language willy-nilly. Oh, heck
but you know what the
no.
thing is with
I'm going to put this as hard as possible.
with Welsh and even Irish, though I do think Irish might have a different alphabet
Gaelic.
generally. It's when you read it and it's in the like Roman like the Roman alphabet that I'm like, fuck you. Like, if I see like Chinese characters or even Russian where they have just like a different, what is that one, like the Syrian, I don't know what it is, like the Syrian alphabet, but it's different
Arabic and stuff.
characters, Arabic, like all,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, it's that thing with like, okay, so my mouth should not be able to pronounce these, and that's fine. Like, I need to learn, the difficulty is going to be higher, okay. But when I see it in the Roman when I see a Y and a W together,
I'm just saying, though.
I'd be like,
I have respect.
messing with me.
I have respect for it. Like, you said, colonizer wants to learn my language. You want me to translate. I'm gonna give you some BS. Try me. And I appreciate that.
You're here for the petty. Okay, so we're in chapter 12. Like 20 minutes in, haven't even started. Welcome to Wizard Team. So Self, Mesmer, Lifts, and Bree and all of the first year pages are able to see again. They are in what they call the chapel, which is a circular flat-colored stone slab in the middle of a clearing in the forest. I said, this is some Children of the Corn shit. This is some...
Also, like the fact that Bree is in the middle, as a black person, is in the middle of a forest,
The only
surrounded
one.
by white
You
people.
don't ever want to
has
be the
no
only
idea
In robes.
where anything is. In any
White people in
any
robes.
direction.
Nobody knows where you are.
I just wanna say-
Nobody knows.
And this isn't even
Nobody outside
like,
of here knows where
this
you
isn't
are.
even a joke. Like, people have been murdered in situations like this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows where you are.
Recently.
No,
this has
Nobody
happened.
who cares
You
about
don't know.
you knows where you are.
Lord
You don't
Davis
know where you
knows that's
are.
it.
And do we
Selwyn
trust that
knows,
man?
and he's trying to kill. He's definitely trying to murder you. So
Openly trying to murder you. Some other
Oh,
ones
you know what, Alice?
covertly
You know what Alice
trying to
needs to
murder
do?
you.
Alice needs to tell Mr. Matthews. She needs to tell Mr. Matthews that she needs to put some
Air
tags.
tags.
What are those called?
Air tags.
Air tags.
I was thinking that.
Some
I was
air
like,
tags on Bree at all times.
When we
Like,
get to the
I
point-
just send me some air tags so I can pop them on Bree's stuff.
When we get to the
And
part where
some kind of way, we don't know.
where Bree returns to her dorm and, like, Alice actually sees her after this whole thing, we'll get there, but, like, Alice sees, like, the aftermath of what's about to go down and is like, I was pissed, but now I'm just worried. Like, I'm just terrified. Like, what? Now I'm scared. I feel
like her part of her being angry was her being like,
oh yeah,
concerned.
yeah.
Like, what is going on?
But it was like that.
What,
it was
what
that
is
like
going
I'm
on?
worried anger of like it doesn't need to be. I shouldn't even have to be worried. You know what I mean? Like you should just know better than to put yourself in danger and myself in this level of anxiety. Now she's like, nah, man, nobody like. Call the cops. I don't know what to do.
Air tags.
Air
tags are the answer.
Yeah.
I would have straight up. Yeah, and I don't believe in, you know.
Because she don't be messing with her phone. Her phone could probably be on the ground in the
We're
middle
definitely
of
going
a
to get
mud
into
pit. We would not
that,
know.
but
You gotta put air
I
tags
think
on
both
her.
of those are
You gotta put air tags.
next episode.
They are. We'll get there. But like,
oh my god.
Okay.
I'm just saying the answer to being in the middle of the
100%.
woods with not anyone knowing is air tags.
And not 100% battery life either, bitch. You were going to get a stakeout, and understandably, this has escalated faster and quicker than. But you were on a stakeout without 100% battery life, or you were planning to stake someone out without 100% battery life.
And no aether, with all that aether out there, we don't know if that interacts with the technology or not. So do you even have service?
Bree is
in these deep woods.
Y'all are trying to make me venture again.
The last time she picked her phone out was to tell her dad, or no. Yeah. Was to be like, oh, my bad, Dad. I was supposed to text you, and I didn't.
I'll call you after class. And how she called him yet? She ain't called him back yet.
No. She went
called
to
him
the
back
lodge.
Yet. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, she's able to see. They're in this circular flat clearing, children of the corn. I like to think about, like, Stonehenge. You know, where it's just, like, nothingness and then, like, this thing that is obviously man-made.
Yeah.
But, like, how'd y'all get out here? How'd this get here? Who did this? I find it insane that I'm guessing magic, that no one has just, like, stumbled upon this.
I'm guessing
like,
slave labor.
Well, no, not the building of it. I'm saying that no one in, like,
found it.
UNC hasn't found this.
But I'm sure there has to be some way for, like, Ether to just be like, you don't want to go over there. Like, you know, just like a
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, like, I think it's magic to keep people away from it, but, like, yeah. So there are 8 Legendborn, and then, in robes, hiding their faces. And then what she assumes is 5 veteran pages in gray robes. I'm thinking the Legendborn are in black robes. I forgot that they mentioned that in the last chapters, and I didn't retain it. And I didn't go back to double check, but I think it's black robes. And then Lord Martin Davis in a deep crimson robe. Cell drops down out of nowhere, and he's also in a black robe.
Bella's on one, like, this pretty much entire time until, like, the last 3 chapters of this book. But the drama that he gives, especially in, like, these chapters, I love it, not gonna lie.
Chef's kiss.
I gotta look up. Wait, I think I know. I think that they said. I'm gonna look up real quick which zodiac sign he was, and I was like, "That's exactly right."
No,
Gemini. I don't know what any of that means, but
I think he's a Gemini.
He's one that causes a lot of angst and drama. There's a lot of drama going on. He's a Gemini. He drops out of nowhere, and then these other once born. She's the only once born, I think, but no. They're all I don't know. These pages, these first year pages.
Yeah.
They all of them
Everyone who's not a Legendborn is a once born.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. But these pages is what I'm trying to say. Who are first years? They haven't been to the ceremony before. Jump, because they're like, where the fuck did he come from? Bree sees his movement and then decides in this moment that she's going to have a stare down. And she's going to show him she's not scared. So
I love it, though, because it's very petty. Like, she's like, you startled me. You scare me, even. But I'm still who I am. Like, you ain't gonna get me. Like, it's very, like... she's like, I know this will irritate him. even though he's terrifying. And
Yeah,
Right.
it's very childlike, like nana nana boo boo.
Right.
Like, you ain't gonna get me.
So she says, though, I should follow Nick's rules. Rule number, like, 1 or 2 is be afraid of Cell. Right?
Or just, like, don't even look at Cell.
Don't stay away from him and be scared of the man. Like, it's not even like avoid Cell. It's like be afraid of that motherfucker. Be scared, because he is scary. And
treat him like the demon that he at, like.
Yeah.
Like, dude at, like.
Don't mess with demons, is what Nick said. And the demon's name is Selwyn Kane. I'm pointing him out. That one right there. He a demon. Don't mess with demons. I should follow Nick's rules. I should be afraid. Instead, I lift my chin from where I kneel, let defiance shine from my eyes. Even these tiny gestures are blood in the water. But I don't care. I have to also add, Nick's, like, first 2 rules are, like, be afraid of Cell, and then do not draw attention to yourself. We've already said that one is kind of futile because she's black in a sea of whiteness.
He was wrong for that one.
Yeah.
She don't have to draw attention to herself. Attention is drawn by her existence.
And that's probably one of the main ways Bree was like, sure, sir, whenever he said that he would protect her if racism were to happen to her. She was like, sure, sir.
Yeah.
You also told me
Not to draw
to
to.
be conspicuous, and I'm the only black person for miles.
Hi.
Like,
my name is conspicuous. But a good way of drawing attention from the person you should be afraid of, Cell, is to challenge to not be afraid.
because she's after Bree. Because after Bree is ready to jump off
After
the
Bree is reckless in a way
and will look
that...
a demon straight in the eye.
After Bree is reckless in a way that I just don't... Like, it doesn't compute. I don't know. You know, grief does things to different people in different ways, but... Whew. Okay, so... Cell's looking at her. She looking at Cell. It's that P. Diddy... Odom Beckham Jr. lookalike guy. GIF all over again. And then Lord Davis gives the most pretentious and self-important speech in the world about vassals, pages, Merlin, Legendborn, and regents. I'm not going to read it because it annoyed the fuck out of me having to actually read it. But I will say that the regents are the spine of this pretentious ass, annoying ass body that is the order. In this speech, though, I'm like...
given the state that Lord Davis is in towards the end of the chapter.
Wait!
No!
Stop. No, that's actually hilarious. I didn't even think about that. Oops.
Lord Davis is like head regent, and he's all over here talking about how regents are the spine, and then his spine gets cracked open. I read this and I was like, no wonder why Nick left. These white folks love the sound of their own voice. I would have left too. My first year,
like,
when I hear,
like, y'all want me to be that? Y'all want me to be
the head
this?
or whatever.
When I hear I'm just only going to read like the first sentence of this. Our vassal friends and their contemporary fiefdoms are the order's lower limbs. I just said, I'm out. So there was this moment when I went to IU. I went to Indiana University, and I decided, I met this girl in class. It was my second year, and we hit it off. I really liked her a lot. She was great. She was in a sorority. She was in one of them white sororities, because our black sororities got kicked off the campus. I don't know. I didn't understand how that worked, but whatever. She was in a sorority, and she, you know, on Wednesdays they would wear pink or whatever, but she wasn't stereotypical sorority girl, right? And for like a minute there, I think I don't know what, we had some sociology class together. And she became like one of my like really good friends. She was Asian. So it wasn't like, oh, she's just this white girl. You know what I mean? Like she was whatever. And I was like, oh, so maybe my stereotypes about sororities are wrong. And so she convinces me to rush. And she's like, we could be in the sorority together. It'd be so great. You have all these friends. You meet people, blah, blah, blah. My first day, I'm going on this tour thing, and I walk into a sorority, and they start, and it's a bunch of blonde, and they may not all have been blonde, but they were all white, and they start singing and clapping and doing some carrying on, and I was like...
I've seen those videos.
I have made a mistake. I don't think I went back.
Every time I get here,
the second day, I made it to the thing. Oh, and then I finally got to her. So I went through like 4 of these singing, clapping skit. There were skits, y'all. There were like dances. There was, I don't know.
Not every
you
sorority
can't see it
is
in the
created
podcast,
equal.
but
and I say not every sorority, I mean the black ones.
the black ones.
They're the ones.
These are the white. These were the white pan-Hellenic or whatever. These were those people, right? You meet one person and you think, oh, okay, so maybe I'm being stereotypical and judgmental, and maybe I was, but I was also correct. So I finally get to her sorority. I've gone through like 4 or 5 of these things, and this is the first afternoon. It's a weekend of this. I came home early. I left California to go back to Indiana early.
Oh,
Cut my summer trip.
Was this friend impressed by these clappity claps?
She was in it already, right?
She was already in it. She joined her freshman year. I'm a sophomore now. I see her, and I'm like, okay, it's worth it. Okay, this is the one that if I am going to go through all the thing, this is what I'm going to join. I got my bestie here. And so I go up to her to hug her and be like, you don't know what I suffer. And she's like, oh, we can't hug. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, excuse me, what do you mean? I need a hug, right? I need a hug. You don't know. I just went through a clippity clappy and skits and whatever's. She's like, well, we can't hug because that's against the rules or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I don't think I came back the second day. I probably should have packed up my shit and went back to California and finished out my last week of summer vacation. But the point of that story, that horror story is...
It sounds like Get Out, the sorority edition.
It was! It was Get Out before Get Out. It was. There is no... And I'm starting to think that those are very smart and planned because there's no way... I wasn't going back. I was not going back the second day.
Right.
I know I'm out. And I feel like if Bree hadn't just pulled Nick through all this shit, the minute he started talking about limbs and fiefdoms, I'm actually surprised. It's why they get these children at birth and be propagandizing them because I'm surprised not a single soul was like, you know what? Never mind. Erase my memory now. I'm gonna go.
It's either rich white folk or aspirational white rich white folk. So, and they're like, we'll go along with it.
You know
but
what,
it's something that's like, it's something that's gonna come up, both in this chapter and our next one. For those of y'all who don't know, we're double recording, so we're recording 2 episodes today, so we know what's about to be talked about next episode too. Is like, it's really interesting because obviously Bree just comes in with the least amount of information possible, but like the way that this is like written or the way that it's kind of structured is like you see the like zealotry and like everyone is very entrenched in this world, and it's very like there's all this like pageantry and it's like a cult. It's very like
it's cultish,
just
sure.
Extra and weird and whatever, and even the like people that you like and who seem cool are like bought into this system, and so you see that, and it's very strange. At the same time, they do serve a real purpose because there are monsters out like trying to. So it's like very interesting to like see both sides of like, not that necessarily not that the order is the only people who could fight the demons and whatever, and like that's the only structure that could work, but just like you see how the structure, or you like learn how this like organization was built. You see what they're responding to, and like it's very easy to see how it can like folks can be bought in, like can buy into it, especially when most of them are brought in at a very young age.
Yeah, and I think too, there's a lot of it that I think, like as we get to know William more, even like he's like, I think a lot of them also like understand that it's cultish and understand even the ways in which they've been trained since birth, I think is how they say it, in like a way that if you like really stopped and thought, you could like, yeah, a lot of this was like hoisted or foisted upon us, but then they also see the demons.
Right, so they're like, it's worth it, or they
and
like
they lean in.
With that.
Yeah, they just kind of make their peace with, like, all the pageantry and all of that stuff. And, like, I feel like, too, in a certain way, it's kind of thought of as the payment, right? You do this, you sacrifice. It is a sacrifice of your childhood. And we're about to see, like, how big of a sacrifice it is for some of them that have been awakened. And in return, you get some power and some money and some prestige, and like a part of that prestige is going through this.
But also, like, if you the pomp and ceremony of it all can be annoying to some people, but some people love the idea of being lauded.
Absolutely.
Through all these extra bells and whistles. Like that's part of the the drama of it all is what is intriguing to them.
Right.
And it's also reminds me so much, as we're talking about like cults and these. It gives like. So many things in the world give like Ponzi scheme. Like so many things are set up in the, like MLMs, cults, sororities and fraternities. Some of them, like all these different like groups or whatever. Some religions they give Ponzi scheme.
Yes, for sure.
There's always going to be someone who benefits from the top of the pyramid, and there's everyone else who's trying to get there.
Yep. And this is definitely has that flavor, and we'll get more into that as well. But then Lord Davis tells all of the firstborn pages to state their name and families, and we get a lot of Lewis Wallace Dunbar, son of Richard Calvin Dunbar, vassal to the line of Owen. This one, Von Ledford Schaefer the Fourth, son of Von Ledford Schaefer the Third, vassal to the line.
I don't know what it is about you
Boers.
saying that, but it's giving Key and Peele skit whenever they come through with all this basketball player names. Lavondres the Fourth. And then when it gets to Bree's turn, she's only able to say her name, and then she's like, who do I say? So she says her father. Brianna Irene Matthews, daughter of Edwin Simmons Matthews. She doesn't have a vassalage. She doesn't have a line. And they hiss at her.
I was about to
they
say.
hiss.
And then she hears hissing and tittering. And Lord Davis, in a way, I have a hard time. I forgot that they kind of try to set him up as like a hero-y voice of reason,
like
acceptance, benevolent person, because he is not that, y'all. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler heavy. This man is
also,
the villain.
You get that hint right when you meet him, how he treats Cell. Like, you already know that he's playing this, like, at the time, because Cell's on one, you're like, he does need to get checked. But Davis is not the one who needs to be checking him. Like, he needs to get checked by his peers. He does not need to get checked by this man.
So he warns them about hubris, and do not fall prey to hubris. Affiliation with this order is not equivalent to sworn fealty. Indeed, Tennyson said, man's word is God in man. I am annoyed every time he opens his mouth during this whole ceremony, just so y'all know. It is so pretentious.
It's like the scales of like, he stood up for Bree, but also he did it in the most annoying way possible. Like,
obnoxious. He is highly obnoxious.
At what cost?
But he's been waiting all year long to pontificate
the first thing he
on this
when
occasion.
He sees Nick is like quote. Did he quote Tennyson or some other like Arthur like scholar?
Yeah.
He's like, bro,
something.
Please, just say hi.
Very tired.
And this is your child. This is your child. You can't connect with your child without saying, like, what are you?
Bree immediately is like, Bree immediately is like, something in this family is broken to the core. It's rotting. You haven't seen you're welcoming your son back by quoting Tennyson. Okay, something is dead.
What's wrong?
Mildew. But I do think that and Bree kind of mouths her thanks or says a silent thank you to him. Two things. He's right-ish in that there's going to be this tournament type of thing to choose who is going to become the squires, and your line doesn't actually help you. How many, your vassalage or all that shit doesn't really I mean, it kind of plays a role. Nick says this whole thing is rigged, but, like, in general, they want you to believe it's a meritocracy, and it doesn't really matter.
Isn't that every system they've created?
It is.
That, like, it doesn't actually work as a meritocracy, but they want you to
They want you to believe. And in general, I think it is a meritocracy to those who meet the standard to get in to do the thing. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
but even then, it's
once
still a
we make
Ponzi,
you,
it's still a pyramid scheme. It's still a pyramid scheme.
Once we make
no
you
matter
jump
what,
through all these hoops,
end of the day,
once you're good enough on paper to meet this threshold, after everyone has met this threshold on paper, then those best rise from the top. Just bullshit in general, but like.
But you don't rise to the top because the top has already been determined.
Yes.
The head is already determined. And also the ones that go underneath like, it's a pyramid. So you're never going to go past where you're not already ready to go. Like, if your family name is in the 7th line, then that's where you're going, honey. That's it. Nothing that you do merit-wise will get you up higher than that. That's where you're going.
So we... So we go through all of this stuff, and then all of the Legendborn who have nominated these first-year pages start to stand in front of them and help them take their oaths. Nick announces...
The way that he said, like...
So they're going through, right? And so Fitz comes up and says... or Lord Davis says, tonight you make an oath to us, and through your Legendborn sponsor, the order makes one to you. And so Fitz comes up and says, the penalty for breaking this vow is total mesmer and excommunication to the darkness of unknowing, never to return to the light. Do you bind yourself still? These names, y'all. Fitzsimmons Solomon Baldwin, scion of the line of Boers, accept your oath on behalf of our ancient order and welcome you to service. We grant you sight so that you may see the world illuminated for as long as your heart be true. And then Sel does some stuff, some ether flies up in the air, and then they go down the line, right? So we get to Brianna.
I just want to say that the way that they clasp their, like, arms over this, like, wooden thing is giving me that gif where it's, like, the black man and the white man, like, clasping arms. Like, that's what I'm getting.
Bayana, write that down.
I know.
Coming to an Instagram near you.
I will also say, big ups to Bree for remembering this oath. After only hearing it 4 times, because I'd been like, somebody's gonna have to feed this to me.
Yeah, I kept waiting for
like, so I can recite it back up to you.
I kept waiting for her to say, I stare at Nick as he mouths the words back to me as I
literally.
So Brianna gives her oath. She's a little bit worried, right? Nick digs his fingers into her flesh deep enough to leave marks because that pain is how she broke the last mesmer. So he's trying to help her, like, circumvent this oath. I must admit, I still don't really understand how this works. But let me do this part, and then we can go back to the magic.
Well, I think it works because she's Arthur. Yeah, I think she's Arthur, so it doesn't matter.
No, but I think what it is like the pain helps her focus, because she obviously doesn't know that she has, like, magic at all, right? So it's like, and a lot of her magic is, like, we're gonna see later, like, it's suppressed. That's what After Bree is like, she's suppressing it, and so I think that it just, like, helps it break free in a way.
So her own magic is how she's able to, like, fake this oath.
Break it. Yeah. Like, it's able, yeah. Okay. Especially because she already, like, the whole point of the oath is that it gives them the sight. She can already see.
She already has the sight.
So she doesn't need the oath. Also, the oath will harm her because she's not actually here for, like, the reasons that everyone else is. So she can't be oathed, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, you can't actually do it because it'll read that you don't know what you're doing. Or not, you're not here for, you're not bought into this whole thing.
Yeah.
You're lying. I don't think they're aware, because we know they're not aware, but I think because the oath is in service to Arthur, and she is Arthur, she's fine.
Probably.
Like, she's the bloodline of Arthur. Like, no matter what happens, like, even if, like...
She's in service to Arthur because she is Arthur.
She hadn't gotten prodded, it probably would have just would have worked anyway.
Right.
Because she's Arthur.
But she doesn't...
Yeah,
but because they don't know that, they're like, okay, we're going to figure out this other way to...
Yeah, and the magic does, like, kind of wash over her, so I don't think that the oath took in general, but...
Yeah. I also want to say...
So you're saying...
Yeah, I think the pain is what helps her kind of, like...
Focus.
Retain her, yeah. I also, again, like, shout out, like, Nick is very... As little as they have, like, been able to discuss, debrief, plan together, like, he's really somebody who says when he's in, he's like, I meant that shit.
Yeah.
But the man that he stutters, the man does have a moment where he's like, ooh, let me get it.
No, I think...
So, but I don't even think it's that.
Yeah. I don't think the stutter is about not being down for Bree and, like, what they're doing. I think the stutter is like, I can't believe
it's about
I'm back
this
here.
oath for...
I can't believe I'm...
Yeah.
He's like, I really have to say
I don't even
these
think
words.
it was he's like swallow, like, the... Everything his words, any word that he said that he was like, I'm never coming back here. I'm not doing this. Like, he's got to swallow his own, like, commitment to not being here. He has to this whole time he's been, like, going with emotions, but now he's actively got to be like, I'm claiming this.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right.
And
now,
he's doing it for her.
in this moment.
And they only met yesterday.
Yesterday?
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, wait.
Every time you say yesterday, I just keep thinking about the gospel song. Yesterday.
So, sorry. Okay, so this isn't going to work. The oath will know that I'm lying. They're all going to know. Right? So the Nick's pulse leaps against his throat. It takes him 2 attempts to begin speaking. I, Nicholas Martin Davis, he releases a harsh breath. I see him just, all right, here you go.
I got this.
I can do it. I, Nicholas Martin Davis, scion and heir of King Arthur Pendragon of Britain, the son of Uther Pendragon, wielder of Caldefulch,
Just keep going. Just keep going.
the blade of Excalibur, and the first ranked of the Round Table in the Shadowborn Holy War, accept your oath on behalf of our ancient order. And then Nick watches the shock travel through me with sad, weary eyes. This is where Brianna was like, hey, Robyn, remember how you said that last episode was the only time you'd probably ever bench me? Let's think about it. Why didn't you tell me? I sent the question through my eyes and he flinches. You said you didn't like bitch.
You did not give him the time. You didn't ask no real questions. Even what's her name? When Greer asked,
what do you think about Arthur?
What do you think about Arthur? You didn't think to ask. I mean, obviously you couldn't ask them, but like when you were with Nick alone for a minute, you could have been like, hey, so they mentioned something about Arthur.
And also like
also
Arthur the aardvark? Like, Arthur who?
We also find out a little bit later, but he's given her his pendant coin thing. If she flipped that bitch around, there's a dragon on it.
But
the signs were there.
She was not computing. She thought she was being sneaky. She thought she was on stealth mode, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in here. I'm hype. I got it. Yes, let's go." That's what she was concerned about. She was not picking up any clues.
It's like when you
but the fact that she even fixes her, and I give her credit that pretty quickly she's like, I have no standing to be mad at this man. But the fact that her initial reaction is like,
tell me. I'm like,
why didn't you tell me?
You didn't ask questions. Why didn't you want to be here?
On whose time?
Why is everybody?
Why'd you tell him your ass was gonna go knocking on the door of the lodge? Why'd you tell him that?
She like Bree really needs to be effing for real, because she went into the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one time she sought this man out on lodge territory, and why couldn't he had at least caught you after where you were? Why hadn't you get the time to catch him right after he walks out the class and just bug him?
Y'all could have time to
talk. But also, she didn't really give him a chance to speak. She was just like, I know what's going on. Catch up. You want main character energy? You go get main character energy, Bree. Here we go.
This is crazy. I love her, but wow. It's like as like reading these chapters is so funny because she came in with so much confidence, and then shit immediately turns. It just pops off, and then she's realizing, oh, I don't know shit. I'm just here.
Maybe I should have listened to Nick a little bit more.
She gonna learn today.
You know, we're all pro never listen to a man, a white man. No. But sometimes
when you're stepping in the world where he's the only person that you don't even notice. You just met this man. He's the only person you know.
Every once in a while.
Okay, wait, keep going because it gets even worse.
Okay, yes, sorry. So then, no one notices that the oath of fealty didn't take or give her sight. No one notices her at all, which, hey, look at you, following one of Nick's rules. Sel looks drunk. Eyes half-lidded, unfocused, cheeks flushed, mouth parted and panting. He drags his tongue over his lower lips. He over here drunk. Witty is celebrating. Everyone's up and being like, we did it, we did it, we did it. And then, Lord Davis calls us to order. Let us close with the solemn pledge for our eternal order. And then Felicity, aka Flick, drops with a hands on her temple. She's screaming. Russ dashes to her side. Felicity Flick. I also want to say I love the nickname Flick.
I hate it.
I like it.
As someone who enjoyed the American Girl Felicity series, and then they're like, "Oh, her nickname's Flick," I would be, how dare you take a majestic name like Felicity and give us some dang Flick? Get out of here.
That's one thing I like. I will say about white culture that I do very much enjoy is their nicknames, like William, Bill, Richard, Dick.
Like you went from
okay, and then if they're
Peggy from Margaret,
and then if they're rich and like some like
Muffy
title,
Dottie,
Pom Pom, all that shit. I love it to death. Duffy. Anyway, so Felicity drops. And
wait,
then
I want you to read the one thing that I feel like is a foreshadowing to what's gonna when the shadows part.
When the shadows rise, so will the light. When the blood is shed, blood will call. By the king's table, for the order's might. By our eternal oaths, the line is law. Tennyson wrote that shit, didn't he? Or Wordsworth.
No, possibly.
Maybe Davis is like.
I feel like it foreshadows.
You know, ancestor. Why? It's his shit.
Yeah.
Who was it? T.S. Eliot was the one who wrote the Sword in the Stone.
Okay, so maybe it's Eliot. One of them.
Maybe it's Eliot.
One of them.
Popped in there.
Old
but
white.
I think that foreshadows that chapter. Like it foreshadows Bree and how she ascends.
Oh.
Because when the blood is shed, and that's when she ascends.
True.
And line is law for her family.
Yeah. When the shadows rise, so will the light. Just like all the lies of these people. Then the truth rises and breathes. Okay, I see what you're doing there, Porshèa. Oh, look at her. She's smart. She's an intellectual.
Tracy did it. I picked up on it. I was like, I see.
You were picking up what Tracy was laying down. Intellectuals abound. So, Flick says in a deep masculine voice, not her own, though I may fall, I will not die, but call on blood to live. And then she collapses in a crumpled heap. Bree is over here like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is going on?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's crazy.
It was bad enough there's a demon.
She goes from learning, like she knew magic existed in this world, right? It's not like that's the reason why she's here. She's not just here thinking that they're just, over here making oaths and saying real pretentious lines and whatever. But then to actually see somebody awaken after you just found out that you're only into this place is literally like the head honcho, and then you see like this awakening, like I would be I'm terrified. I'm like, you know what?
That SpongeBob like meme where he's like in that like
oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. What the fuck is going on? Insane. So then we find out that Felicity, who is awakened by Sir Lamorak, she is 4th ranked. And so then Nick starts to question Lord Davis, like, how the fuck is the 4th ranked getting awakened? When did the 5th rank get awakened? He is in like the Western chapter or the different chapter, I believe. Is that him or is that Pete? Who we don't really know.
No, it's the dude in another chapter.
Okay, so the dude in another chapter. Yeah, so there's like they're the southern chapter. There's an eastern, western, and northern chapter, but they all seem to be in like the colonial. You know, there's no chapter in California.
Right.
So Lord Davis is like, now's not the time. We're not talking about this. Yeah, she's awakened. And Nick is like, no, we discussed this here. Why did Lambert call her? Why now?
And I will say, like, I like, it's interesting because, like, obviously Nick is the one who's like, what the fuck? But it's a good question because if your 5th ranked is getting called and your 1st rank is just out here playing cricket, like, shit is
yeah.
Like, in his head, like, he doesn't want to be here, but I think also in his head, he's like, this isn't something you would think
y'all
to,
just
like,
out here letting me
say that, like, niggas is getting awoke, like, what's going on here?
Right, and this is something that I think is really interesting because I was thinking a lot about this because we find out that Nick is actually 2nd ranked. He's Lancelot, and Bree is 1st ranked. And we were right, so he's even closer. But also spoiler heavy. Lord Davis is the one out here making sure this shit is going up, but he is going like he can renounce all he wants to, right? But he's a Legendborn, and this I was thinking about this a lot when we were talking last episode about like what would have happened if Bree wouldn't have just, you know, rigged James on the Order's couch the way that she did and actually like stopped and learned some things, and like we were saying, like this still would have happened because she would have been awakened. She just wouldn't have been as immersed in the Order beforehand. And when you think of it that way, and you think about the fact that these higher ranked scions are being awakened, it makes Nick's like denouncement really futile because he can't actually denounce.
But he didn't know that. No, he
doesn't
know that his father was over here.
He doesn't know that.
Like forcing these, and they hadn't had an awakening of this nature happen since 1775. So he did not have any reasoning in his mind where he was even close to thinking like, oh, no matter what, I'm going to get awakened,
right?
Because he doesn't know he's
right. And I understand that, but what I'm saying is that like you get the sense because he doesn't know how close this is to him or these awakenings are happening, and in like quote unquote peacetime, and we'll learn more from William, like maybe the like, you know, there's 13 lines, like maybe up until like the 7th line they usually get awoken because of just regular demon shit, right? William is 11th ranked, which makes sense. I would think he would be like 12th or 13th ranked because even with regular demon shit, you need a healer, right? You need someone who can like fix this stuff. And so to him, like, renouncing is a dumb thing. And he even talks about like the people who are talking about the rankings and all of that as like, I forget, he calls it blasphemy or something, not blasphemy, but something like that, dishonorable. Because for him, awakening is just something that he's going to accept. It's inevitable, right? But I think the other reason why Nick is so turned off by the Order, and we talked about this, he kind of alludes to like, you get all of this power and prestige and not with less risk. and most of these like high-ranked people have not been awoken in centuries, is like, I don't want to do all this pomp and circumstance shit to just.
And I'm not actually doing anything.
Like, I'm not fighting.
You're talking about
but also doesn't want to be awoken either. Like, I don't want that either. Like,
right.
I don't want to have no, like.
I don't think that anyone, like, really, I mean, some, like, bloodthirsty, glory-hungry people might want to be awoken. They just want to fight. They just here to fight, to be honest. Let's be honest. Tor, right. But I think mostly he's like, I don't want to be a part of all this pomp and circumstance and this order that I do not like how it's set up and do not agree with how you guys are doing these things. And I don't want to get all of this praise for something that's never going to happen. like it's to the point now where like Calamine or whatever it's called,
Camline,
it's almost fictional to them. And we see this in an argument after in the next couple chapters of like, that's this story that they tell to like scare people. And now
it's like Ragnarok.
Exactly. Right. Ragnarok. It's just like it's a myth, it's a legend, it's never actually gonna happen. Don't live your life planning for this thing to happen, right? And so now Nick is confronted with, oh shit, the fourth ranked has been awoken. I'm first ranked. I'm getting really close. Like there's actually a lot of danger. And then I just brought in this chick who is a straight up Molotov cocktail and all of this shit, which is fine.
He doesn't even know she's
in theory of like, yeah, William's here and there's a couple of like Easels that'll skip through the gates or whatever, and we'll have all of this time to figure out what's happening to your mama or what happened to your mama. But now he's like, oh no, we about to go to war. Good Lord.
But I also feel like not to be on his father's side, but Nick this whole time has said that he don't want to be here. And so when was his dad supposed to tell him that the Western guy had had been awoken? Like, when was that conversation supposed to happen? Because Nick doesn't want anything to do with it. He doesn't want to have any conversations about it. He doesn't want to know nothing about it. So when is he going to say, hey, Nick, guess what?
He gonna
home guy over there.
He gonna run him down the way that Bree walked into his class and talking about Shadowborn, Legendborn.
But I'm saying
he could have walked in and he could have been like, Fifth is awoke.
But Nick don't want it. Nick said he didn't want it. So why would he tell Nick?
Because he wants Nick to want it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also a difference between like I said earlier, like, he doesn't want to do it in general, but if Camline is coming, if he's going to be awoken, I think he expects to be notified.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. I think that's the thing, though. Like, it's like I wish we were fly on the wall for whenever he had this conversation with his father. Because what was the conversation where he was like, I'm Bennett, don't put me in it kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, unless there's like, when was the...
I don't think there was an unless for Nick, but I do think that, like, it's very easy to walk back past Nick and say, I forget what the fifth line's name is, it's somewhere, but, like, to say, like, Lamoureux called and said, what up? Because the Nick is like, oh shit, oh for real? Like, he knows all of these things. You don't have to, like, be like, please son, come over and let's have tea and talk it out. Like, you could literally just confront him in the middle of campus and be like,
we need you back, or whatever. And I think he would.
Fifth, yeah. Or not even we want you back, but like the fifth ranked is woken up. What you gonna do now? You still sitting out? You know what I mean?
It's just funny to me because I feel like for the long game, I feel like he wants Nick to feel like he has no other choice. And so I could see him like waiting until it is when Felicity gets hit or whatever, so Nick learns like naturally. Yeah. I see this being in the long game for him.
No, I think that's 100% was. I think that's 100% was Davis's plan. To not tell him. Nick and Felicity go to the same school. He would find out that she got awoken.
Yeah,
like it's not
he would have to find out.
He would have found out anyway. It's the fact that it happens and he's there and he sees it. Like, Nick doesn't know that that's the plan. You know what I mean? So from his perspective, he's like, why would you not tell? And he's not that.
But I'm saying to
no
Nick,
one
when
else
would you expect this man to tell you?
Well, that's his
Like, why
dad.
would
He
you
can find
expect
him
him to tell you?
in any moment. You know what I mean? It's not like they're like.
But why would he tell you when you say you don't want to do it?
Because there's magic involved. And if he
And
doesn't
there's-
want to
and
do it,
it's-
if
and,
he
like-
gets awakened, like, he has to
Right.
do something. He can't just.
That's what I'm saying is that, like, you can say in theory, I don't want to do this, when it's when what you're doing, what you're being asked to do is all pomp and circumstance and
Right,
giving
it's
speeches and showing your face, and it's not actually being awoken and fighting demons. But once it becomes to the fact that, like William said, like, they don't have a choice. They're born into this. Like, the inheritance is like, it is in their blood. And so you accept it, and you go on, because there's, what else are you going to do? You can be mad about it, and we can see, like, Bree is tussling with Arthur. In her mind, they just fighting back and just knocking each other. But the man is awake and in her head. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, she in Camelot, she went to sleep, took a nap, she got the itis, ate too much, took a nap, woke up in Camelot. Like, you don't really have a choice. It's in your blood. So,
I get it. I just think it's funny from a standpoint of, like, oh, so now you mad? Like, you said you didn't want nothing to do with it, but now you mad? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's fine.
There's a, like, petty side of it, for sure. But also,
sure.
I get it.
And I was
Nick's
gonna
side,
also
it's
say, like,
you know what this is. Like, if I'm about to, if there's a
yeah.
real situation, like, Nick is very noble and, like, all those things. So, like, yeah, if on a regular Tuesday, he doesn't want anything to do with it. But if it's, like, real, I feel like he's, even we see with Bree, like, he's just like, all right, I'll step up, I'll do it.
I just picture Nick pre Bree, whenever he's being approached about coming back to the order and being like, get someone else to do it. Like the I don't, it's like a TikTok sound. Get somebody else to do it. Like, don't talk to me. Get someone else to do it. And now it's funny that he's, like, in a place, like, he knows that he can't do it, but he has no one else can do it. But he's, like, confronted with the fact of, like, oh, it's on.
Yeah. So he's, like, and I think that's, like, for me, the funniest part is that, like, Nick is now being confronted with the fact that this is not hypothetical. It's, it's coming. And he's brought Bree in. He's like, oh shit.
And I think, we definitely need to wrap up, because we're, like, still have 2 more chapters to discuss. But I also think it helps in the fact that, like, not that he would blame Bree for bringing him back, but, like, there's no reason to, because, again, it's a situation where it would have happened anyway.
It would have happened.
It's just the way that it happened is different.
Yeah. So Flick is on the floor talking, like, now she, Lamerick is in her head. Has collapsed. Cell says, I'm faster. He picks her up and runs her back to the lodge, and back to, I'm guessing, William to help out.
William's there.
William's there. So she just runs her back, because I guess after you get awoken, you then take a nap. You just don't, you go
like, what are you healing? Like, this is what you've been waiting for. So
you're not healing. It's not like you're in.
It's just
like,
you're
injured.
It's just I guess it's a shock to your system, and you gotta your psyche and your mind and body have to now incorporate this centuries-old dead knight
into you're sharing your body with another.
Well,
being
I think
now.
it's slightly different, because I think, like, the way that Bree and Arthur interact is in part because of like
her
the blood, like her separate, like, blood crafting and stuff from her mom's side, or, like, like what was done to bind them to each other. Like, they don't hear their knights and stuff in their head. They just get their, like, parts of their personality and their, like, abilities, but it's not like they have somebody they're talking to in the way that, like, Bree has Arthur in her head. Or eventually will. Spoilers.
So Cell and Felicity take off running. Nick is questioning his dad about, like, how he let this happen, and just as everyone is in shock and freaking out a little bit, they see a hellhound, and now all hell is breaking loose.
Yeah,
and that
again, this is
chapter 12.
Crash course for Bree. Wizard Team is back for a new season, and with that comes a few changes. The one we're most excited about, other than reading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, is that the Patreon chat is back. Support our work by becoming a B&C baddie at any tier, and you'll be able to watch us record live weekly, have your thoughts included on the podcast, and interact with other baddies. Go to patreon.com/blacknerdscreate to join. All right, so chapter 13. The Legendborn immediately are in, like, battle formation, right? Like, Lord Davis is their commander. He's like, y'all do this, this, and this. They're not, like, kids. Like, they are kids, but they're not that anymore, right? They've been trained since they were young. They know what they're doing. Most of them have fought these demons before. Like, they get the pages are told to leave immediately because they may know how to fight or whatever, but, like, they don't know the battle formations and all that stuff, right?
They're not included in the battle.
They're not included in the
yet.
Exactly. They just got here. They're not even squires or whatever. So, like, it's just, again, it's so real now, and it's like back to back. It's like before, you kind of, everything is very theoretical, and so so we have, like, the awakened scions are sent to the front, the non-awakened to the back, which seems like, at first you're like, damn, it's only 3 of them, they got to be front lines, whatever, but then it becomes very clear really, like, easily, or really quickly, just, like, why this is the case. I'm gonna read this, like, passage real quick. I think, like, the whole book, but especially these scenes, are, like, so cinematic, and it makes me want, like, an adaptation, like a visual adaptation, so bad.
I just assume there's gonna be an adaptation because of how cinematic it is.
Yeah, like, it's just, it would lend itself so well to the screen, whether that's, like, a movie, a TV show, whatever. Like, so it says, with the whooshing sound of a backdraft, Mage Flame appears in each of the 3 boys' palms. It circles in a smoky whirlpool, then climbs up their arms like iridescent snakes. In between 1 second and the next, the ether solidifies into weapons in their hands. Fitz and Evan hold identical shining swords. The Mage Flame climbing their bodies isn't done. Oh, sorry, no, I skipped the thing. So Fitz and Evan hold identical shining swords. The gentle-faced boy, that's William, holds 2 glowing daggers the length of my forearms. But the Mage Flame climbing their bodies isn't done. I watch breathless as it flows over their shoulders and legs, solidifying into gleaming plates of silver. Ether crawls up their throats and falls across their sternums until it becomes chainmail. On their arms, the smoke hardens into terrifying gauntlets. Armor. Ether armor. First of all, that shit is dope as fuck.
It reminds me a little bit of the nanobots from, if you think about Iron Man, and they just
Tony Stark.
Yeah, when he taps the thing and then it just or even Black Panther too. Like,
yeah,
it just comes on.
Also, what is it? Baymax? What is that one?
Oh, Big Hero 6. Yeah, no, it's just like, it's very dope. Like, it makes you want to, like, it's one of those moments I could see, like, everybody just, like, screaming in a movie theater is what that gives.
But you can also see, like, you can see the flow coming together, like, snap, 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 boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Shield.
Everything is just, like, coming on, and then it zooms out, and they're like, no, I would lose my shit.
And then the camera zooms around them when they're in formation, and it just, like, goes around in a circle, and you're like, yeah.
That's Imagine. Like, anyway, it's really dope. Obviously Bree is terrified and can't exactly
because why is she there?
Appreciate again. So she's stuck. But again, I think there's also, like, it's one of those situations where it's like, girl, what are you doing? But also I get it on the other hand of, like, the other pages have presumably they are just now seeing like hellhounds and stuff probably for the first time because they weren't able to, like, they didn't have the sight, like, they just got the sight, but they're more entrenched in this world, right? They know if they get an order from Lord Davis, that they need to follow it. They know that there's, you know what I mean? There's like all these things they have.
That was gonna be my secondary question, but I feel like you answered it. I'm like, why didn't one of them catch her? But they're so soldier, like, I take care
they're
of,
just
like,
okay, they say we gotta go.
They're so regimented.
We're out.
Yeah, which means I feel like, and that's how that shows you the lack of thought in their training, where they don't think to care about their fellow person enough to be like, if your fellow is like no, you don't see them moving, make sure you get them moving. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have that component to their training.
It's a like, y'all said to go, okay, we out, and like Bree is stuck because she has not been this shit before too. Like, right? Like she just got here, so it's not even like she's not staying because she feels like she can do something. She's here because she's stuck. She's like, I never seen no shit like this before. This is crazy.
I think that's another reason why training works the way that it does, because training reinforces you. Like, even if you get stuck for a moment, like, your training will kick in, because it's like muscle memory. Like your brain auto does.
I also think that it's like, I thought about this in terms of like, for a minute I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they already had the site, or like they got the site as soon as that ceremony was over. But I was also a little bit shocked that there weren't more people who were stuck like Bree.
Onlookers?
Because, yeah, they know about these things, but this is their first time actually seeing, like, a demon, because they didn't have the sight before. Like, the first years, is what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it also reminded me so much of Amari when Magnus was like, if you don't run, the difference is that Bree was literally, like, in shock and stuck. Like, she wasn't trying to fight.
So she finally, like, well, Nick is like, why are you still here? You need to get to the lodge. And so she's like, oh shit, but then realizes she don't know what the fuck she is. Get back to the lodge. Everybody else is gone. She don't know how to get to, where's the lodge? So again, Nick has the same thought, because I mess with Nick. I love Nick, especially in this like
moment of
just like in her like in the chaos of this, and in her just like learning all of this new information and just getting here. Like, he does as well as he can with the situation that they're in,
with what
he's got to like help. So he points her in the direction of the lodge. She takes off. Of course, then she runs into...
Too late.
She's way too late, so she runs into a demon. Love that for her.
The demon that she was being accused of being.
The
she
Ico
runs into
or whatever.
Well, no, she's accused of being a Gore Ical, which is the one that can actually pass as human. And she runs into like a Ica, which is the one that like.
But was it not? That was we first hear the term because that's what Selwyn says about her.
Yeah.
He doesn't say the Gore. He says the.
Ica. But I think the Gore. I think that one is like that's what he says. But I think
he meant
because they're the same. I think the Ica is like it's like an umbrella. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like, it's the overall term, but then the Gorical is the one that
can actually pass.
Pass, yeah, I think. But it's also
Gorical's like of the Ico kind. It's like one of the Ico kinds.
But it's crazy because it's just like that. Like, you know, we hear that term, and now we see it like literally.
I'm telling you
right away.
This is the thing: is that after this is all over and said and done, after we get to the end of the Legendborn cipher, I forget what she calls it, cycle. And hopefully Bree and so, or whoever she chooses, or none of the above, live happily ever after.
She is 17 years old. She can keep on living.
I said, or whoever she chooses, or none. I said that.
I know.
But once they start to,
I'm like pure auntie right now.
To live happily ever after, she gets a little bit of distance. I really hope Bree becomes the kind of auntie / mama, though. I don't know if we'll get that far, but we'll talk about that later. Fuck you, Merlin. That is like, don't mess with the universe and don't fuck with karma. I want her to like internalize. Don't put that like manifestation. Don't put shit out in the universe that you don't want back. and
No,
karma.
No, that's right.
Because
perhaps
the universe
before Bree might have done that. After Bree,
listen, the universe told after Bree, you wanted the smoke, I'm gonna give you a fucking forest fire. I am burning.
It's like it just keeps
immediately
in a way that's really out of pocket.
It is, but it's like
so
literally we're still on day 3? Maybe we're on day 4 now. Like immediately.
No, we're not on day.
It's the same day.
No. This is the same day. So day 1, she went to the quarry, saw the easel, got back. Was like, oh shit, magic is real. Day 2,
she got mauled by a hellhound.
Got in trouble with or got in a fight with Alice. Met Nick, ran to the hellhound, got was healed. All this stuff. Day 3, she pulls up on the lodge. Immediately has to get oathed, sees an awakening, finds out Nick is Arthur, and gets taken hostage by a demon.
And the same day she had a racism put on her. She's had a racism
every single day. Every single day done to her.
Every day. Oh my god.
I'm saying, I like literally. Bro. If I am Bree Matthews, and you were like, I could kill for a don't say that. I would die for don't say that.
But it's also like it's literally on some like I may not be cut out for this early college thing. Like I'm gonna go back.
I'm going.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna regroup and I'm gonna try this again, but not here because y'all doing too much.
I need to be mesmered. Let's wrap this shit up.
You were correct.
I'm like, if you ain't got it, can we find Will Smith? Somebody. Get me. Yeah. I don't want to know nothing.
Do you guys know this? You don't, because you don't go to sports. But there's this great Shaquille O'Neal meme where it's like, "I'm sorry, young fella, I wasn't familiar with your game. I must apologize."
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Never heard.
I need her to do that with Sel. I'm sorry, I was unfamiliar. I was unfamiliar. I am. She gonna learn today.
Like, if you really didn't want me to come into this, all you really had to do was just explain to me what was going on, and I'd be like, you got it, and then mesmer me afterwards.
She had to see it.
All
she had to see it. Nick
she had to see
it, and she was like, I don't. That is.
But I'm not.
It's
the word that
I'm saying my vocabulary.
She said
the word.
But listen, but I'm saying when she's hearing about all these like lieges and she was like, now what is
she's
this?
seen 2 demons already, and she was still pulling up.
But it wasn't until she heard about the lieges that
we can do all of that, whatever. William confronts her in about 2 chapters, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm sure. She's not going. She here.
She's not going. She's not.
She here.
She's not. She is who she is.
I am, I would have been home, but she's here.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the kids jumping out the quarry, I'd have been like, I gotta go home.
I had made it as far as to be in a forest alone with white people.
In a row.
This situation, if I had even gotten that far, I don't think I personally would have even gotten that far, but say I had, and this was popping off, this would be my last straw. Okay, this demon, let's describe him, or like what this dude looks like. So at first I think the shape is an enormous human, but the movements are all wrong. Their joints bend in the wrong places. In the sliver of light from above, I see a broad chest and thick limbs covered with moss. An iridescent shiny green liquid pours out of open gashes on mottled skin. A face stretches across a bulbous swollen head. 2 long strips of rotting flesh connect gaping jaws. Their tongue lashes back and forth like a snake tasting the air. The demon hums in satisfaction. Yes, you will help us.
This Bree is the blackest she's ever been. And when she keeps talking about the smell, the ooze, and like, like she can't get over it. Like, cause she's seen a hellhound. She's now seen 2 hellhounds. She saw that like incorporeal ethel. What did she call that one? Like a possum. At the quarry, or the size of the possum. So she's seen these little mini demons. And intellectually she knows, yes, demons exist. But this thing starts oozing. And it stinks. And even when she is terrified for her life, she is like, her brain keeps going back to, this thing stinks and it is oozing.
Yes, Tracy Deonn really did a really great job of invoking all the senses. Like, you feel the sensation of the, like, creepy, disgusting, like the goop and stuff and blood and all that. Like, you see that, but then and you can also kind of, like, feel it, like, what she's, like, describing. But she keeps being consistent with smells. And smells is, like, one of my top senses. And so I feel like Brie and I are aligned in that, like, we notice, like, she seems to notice smells a lot. And I'm like, that's the number one turn off for me. If something smells bad, I can't ignore it. Like, my body it will reject. Like, I can't do it. And I love how, when it comes up, it just helps, like, the revulsion, like, how you want the disgust of it all, like, it comes up so easily when you, like, hear it.
She's like, are you sure I'm the best person for that? Yes, they state. And then it slings her over the shoulder like a sack of yams and pulls her and takes her back to the, battle, to the fight.
All the things you do not want to hear when you're trying to, like, you're just trying to, at this point, she's just trying to get out of the forest, and that's not going well at all.
Mm-hmm. And it's, like, hot and, like, squishy and just, like, ugh. So the demon takes her back to the fight. He comes in like, I'm here for the pin dragon. You know what it is. Like, come on, square up. So Lord Davis comes to the front and is like, I'm who you seek. And I'm just like, okay, so I get it. But I get, you're trying to, like, protect your son. This is your thing. But wouldn't you think the demons at this point know that, like, y'all only kids can be the scions? Like, he's a liege now. Like, you're too old for all that shit. Like,
oh man, you're definitely not passing for 22.
He's like silly rabbit. He's giving like the Twix commercial. Twix?
Tricks.
No.
Tricks for kids.
Yeah, silly rabbit Twix for kids. Tricks.
Silly rabbit, tricks are only for kids, and that's what the demon's giving it. It's like, silly rabbit. Yeah. Legendborn are only children. Like, what do you think this is? Like, you may be on the line of Arthur. I just don't know you.
You're not him.
I don't know.
But you were not him right now. You might have been him.
You're not it. You might have had it at some point. Currently,
that's not who you.
Meanwhile, they have Davis has the Legendborn close ranks around Nick, which is, like, a little obvious, but also it's one of those, like, you kind of see how, like, he is the whole point of the order, especially at this point, especially because he's not awakened, is to protect him at all costs. Doesn't matter who else. Like, Bree is over here being hung by her ankle. Like, they're like, no one else matters in this situation. Like, everybody else or is expected to sacrifice themselves for Nick. And that's also, I think that's also, like, why he didn't want to do this.
Everything else for the head.
Like, he does not want to be here. Like, he's trying to, like, fight his.
He doesn't want these kids sacrificing themselves for him and his comfort. I do think, though, it's hilarious because you can kind of tell that Nick has not been in this for a minute. And you can also tell, like, who Nick is just generally, because he starts piping up, and Lord Davis is like, boy, if you don't shut up. And for me, it's like, you don't have to cower behind the people who are closing ranks on you. But if a demon is like, where's the Pendragon? I'm not going to be like, hi.
Don't be the first one up. Like, I don't care how noble you are. That is not that. It's, at that point, it's noble idiocy. You're just doing it to be like.
Unless
noble,
we have
like,
a plan
to what end?
Unless we're pulling a life and everybody's like, I'm that baby Pappy. I'm that baby Pappy. You know what I mean? I am not about to just, like, I'm going to be quiet. Everybody going to be quiet. We all decide, okay, we going to be quiet.
Have you seen a Pendragon? I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
You might be looking.
I ain't seen one.
My last name is Davis.
Are you looking for a pin shaped as a dragon? Because
is he?
We're out of those. Yeah. I think we're out of those.
So he.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that formation. Oh, it's giving High School Musical. Like, everyone else around you knows the steps, like, it's pulling together, doing like their stance, and you're just like looking around like, what's going, what, who, what, what's going? Did everyone practice without me?
Did.
Yes, they did.
So yeah, so the demon is like, points at Nick and is like, he is who we seek. Tells them to, give him to us, Legendborn. He's like, so the demon is actually holding Bree around her like middle and is like squeezing her ribs. She's just in a really right. He's holding the Pendragon. That's actually crazy. I don't know why I didn't like think about it.
He's holding that pin.
He's like, give me the Pendragon.
But it's also interesting too that they can't.
I'm looking for the Pendragon. It's right here.
Yeah.
You would not know the Pendragon if it was staring you in your face and dangling in front of everybody.
Yeah, and that's something that I think is really interesting. And like, obviously, she's not awakened. The dragon is not the dragon. The pin.
The dragon is not unleashed.
Cisco is not here. Cisco is still asleep. But it's interesting that they can't. That they don't know who it is, and they're just kind of going.
They know
off
where
of
the Legendborn are, but they don't know
who raises their hand. Who's who?
But
and so it's kind of a cool.
I don't think that's true. I feel like it's another thing is I think that everyone in the Order underestimates demons, because I feel like this demon, for all the fact that he said where's the like whatever, I think that like they seem like they know more than the Order gives them credit for knowing. And like we get there later.
Oh yeah. Whenever
they talk more about like how this all came, like there's some scheming going on that like would not happen naturally. So like clearly there's more information that they have.
But I think
then the Order is like tending to, or even teaching the other like the Order members, to the Legendborn and stuff like that, to like keep in mind about the demons. Like they probably like understand. But I also think that like of the demons.
Oh, I'm not saying that the demon isn't intelligent. I'm just saying that the demons cannot, like, he's holding the Pendragon and there's nothing. I'm saying
it because of how Davis is acting, like how his father is. I feel like he's treating them like he's an idiot. Like he's treating the demon like they're an idiot, and I feel like that's just like, I think he's kind of mean to everyone. But I think that in like specifically to demons, I think they treat the demons like they're not intelligent.
So Davis darts forward, pulling his blade as he runs. But he's not fast enough. Now all of a sudden the demon got him around the throat. Nick is trying to fight his way through this formation. He knocks down Fitz, but Evan takes his place like immediately. So like Nick is stuck. He can't really do nothing. And then
I do think that. Sorry, this is real quick. I think it's really interesting though what we find out about Lord Davis, Martin Davis, is that he set this whole thing in motion. But I do think him like saying like I'm the dragon and then rushing towards him. I think there's something, and I would be really interested in if we explore this a little bit more, of all of these former scions, or these vassals, I guess is what the former Legendborn and scions are, who are higher ranked and did all of this training and were told all of this greatness that was going to befall them, and then they never got a chance to like fight. And you can kind of see him like have like a little bit of a midlife identity crisis of like, I remember there's this episode of I don't know why, Sex and the City comes to mind, when two of Carrie's love interests start fighting each other, and she's sitting there, she's screaming, "You're middle-aged!" Because like, why are you fighting? Your back is gonna hurt. Like, and it's the funniest fight because they are middle-aged, out of shape, slapping at each other because you don't got it anymore. Like, why are you trying to go up? Why are you? And like the fact that he's even got like, I mean, like I get it though, but because
they still, it's like I'm sure they still like, if a hellhound pops up around you, like you know, like he knows how to fight, whether he's like at the top of his game or not. He's not, is another story, but he does have that training. But again, like you said, he's middle-aged. Like,
it also feels like a show.
Exactly, but it's like, and there's a difference between like fighting to out of desperation and then fighting like for glory, and like I feel like that, like running up on this Uchel is a little bit of for glory, because you have a bunch of younger, in shape people who are currently training and you know, ready for this, who can face off against this demon.
I thought he was doing it for show. I think he was trying to serve a point. He was like, Nick is here. I gotta put on a show for it. Well, he didn't arrange for Nick to be there, but Nick being there made him.
And I don't know that
he
arranged
extra in.
Did he arrange specifically for this
getting
attack, or was it just that he's opening the gate?
I think he's opening gates. He's opening gates.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter that, like, these attacks are going to occur more because he's the one opening the gates and letting them through. I don't think he arranged for this specific attack. But I do think that there's a little bit of, and you kind of you understand why we see a little bit of why he's doing what he's doing, and it is like to chase. It's like the people who start fires to put them out to be a hero, and it's a little sad.
He's trying to be Nick's hero, and he's trying to show Nick, like, I'm heroic. Like, if I can stand up, like, that's what you should stand up to. Like, I'm gonna set an example, and it's like, no.
And glory. I think it's more glory than the actual heroics of, because being an actual hero is not putting these kids in danger in the first place.
Right.
So it's a lot of glory, but
Lord Davis and Bree are both in precarious positions. The demon says, I will kill both of them while you watch Pendragon, and then I will take you. And then we have another great cinematic awesome scene. You talk far too much. I never thought I'd be happy to hear that voice. Cell drops onto the demon's back, wrapping his opponent in a headlock. The demon roars, dropping me to the ground and flinging Davis across the clearing. Nick's father hits a tree with his stomach turning crunch and falls to the stone surface in a loose pile of limbs. So the spine is done.
Not a loose pile now.
The spine is done.
She said that he gives Play-Doh. He gives nothing.
Not to, you know. It's really funny because, like, I do feel for Nick and, like, him being upset about his father being a loose pile of limbs, but also, that's what this man gets.
Don't go chasing after it. It's the same way in which I was like, Bree, if you don't want to get mauled, don't get the attention of a hellhound. Like, if you don't want your back cracked.
Not in the good way, too. That's the thing. Like, there's a good way to have your back cracked given, like, romance novel. But then there's this way. And this is the way you do not want your back cracked. Like, you think of all the books that you read and where you're like, somebody gets their back cracked by a demon. This is not what you're thinking about. This is not the way.
I didn't need to say it like that.
Oh my god. It's giving that book series like the one is like that time I got drunk and I like saved the demon. It's giving like that time I got drunk
reading those.
And I got my back cracked by a demon. Like
in the deadly way.
But not that way. Not the way you're thinking.
Wow. So Sarah pulls Bree away from the fray. She runs over to where half of the group, Nick included, have gathered at Davis's side. He's not moving. Meanwhile, the demon and Cell are
Play-Doh.
Going at it. So it's interesting how, like, it started off as like everybody's ready to fight, wooty woot, right? And they're not just gathered around Lord Davis because the battle's over. It's just because they're like, all right, Cell's got it. We don't have any business trying to deal with this anymore. Like, they got it.
Needs to be.
You don't
no
want to be in the way. But I also like love, and we'll see this a little bit more too. Sar is Tor's page, correct?
Squire. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yes.
Squire.
But for Sar, Sarah, and for a lot of, not all of, not even half of, but for a good number of the order, Bree has taken the oath, and that's that. Like, get her out of the way, get her to safety. Also, in general, the point of the order is to like save the once born, the like the humans, the normals or whatever, to keep them safe from demons, right? And so you will see that, like, and I mean, even maybe for Tor 2 and to some extent, I'm not sure, but for Sar at least, what we start to see is like she has accepted Bree. They're not going to be like best friends or close or whatever, but she's taken the oath and she's one of them and she's going to look out for her. And you start to see that like right away, and I think that's pretty interesting as well, because from the racism that just happened 20 minutes ago, could be a fear of like, well, I'm not going to put my neck on the line to help Bree out and get her out of the way of the demon and Cell fighting, like, but they do, so that's nice.
So, yeah, so Cell and the demon are fighting. Also, Bree is just like so disgusted by Cell in general. So like the demon kicks his chest, the Merlin goes flying. Cell hits the ground with both feet in a sliding crouch. A feral grin crosses his face. He launches himself back at the creature like a bullet. It's very anime coded. The sight turns Bree's stomach. Nick's father could be dead and Cell's enjoying himself. I'm like, let him take enjoyment in his work. This is
But also, it's like, is that what you take away from this? Because it feels more like he's like,
right.
Oh,
like this is weak. He's like, this is nothing.
Like, it's not. It's like, it's not giving. It's for me. It's not giving like, oh, this is such a solemn time. We're all here gathered for this funeral, and here comes Cell, smiling and cracking. Like, no,
we should all aspire to do what we love. You know,
he's defending. But also, like, you're only paying attention to Lord Davis because, like, that's what you got to do in this moment. Cell is in the middle of a fight. He's not seeing y'all over there. He don't know what state that man is in. He's in the middle of this fight. Why would he know how he's doing? He doesn't know. He's in the middle of this fight.
So yeah. Meanwhile, the boy who had the dagger. So this is Will. He is using ether to heal Lord Davis. So he's not dead. He's still severely injured, but Will, because he's there, William is able to save him. So meanwhile, Nick, he's like, you almost killed my father. And it's interesting. I haven't completely decided. I've read this 3 times. I haven't completely decided how I feel about this. Like, it's definitely dumb. He jumps in the middle. He's like, you nearly killed my dad, and now he's trying to like fight the demon. Cell is like, yo, I got this.
It's giving Peter Quill when
it does. Okay, so see, that's the thing. So that's the thing. It does give that, which is why I think I have like an averse reaction to it. But also, having more time with Nick and understanding Nick, it doesn't like completely turn me off, if that makes sense. Also because they win. Also because it's not like by the end of this. So I'll come back to it in a second. So like Nick charges forward. The demon breaks Cell's ankle and then basically like blocks Nick's sword swing. And now Nick is being held by the throat by the demon. He lifts Nick high, throws him or slams him into the silver stone, and now Nick is unconscious. So it's one of those where it's like, why did you do that? Now you're hurt too. So but I will say, like, it kind of like, I guess, brought up a couple of things for me. One, Nick and his father don't see eye to eye. They have like a lot of issues, obviously, but he also cares a lot about his dad. It's also foreshadowing for Bloodmarked when, like, major spoiler alert, Nick or Lord Martin gets killed by Merlin, and then Nick immediately beheads dude. So like there's this other, and like it's something that I think hasn't been fully explored yet, I think. not like in either of the books, and so I'm curious to see where that goes in book 3. Is this like kind of darker side to him, and like also just like in those moments how he reacts, you know what I mean? Also, oh shit, sorry, I just had another thought. He's full of Cell's bloodlust right now. Which is, I'm not saying these aren't excuses. I'm just saying that like there are like other. I'm trying to get the full picture is what I'm saying. Not that he should have done this, because honestly, now he got a cracked skull looking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
stupid.
Yeah. No, there's no, like, it's not in any way does it make sense for him to do this, but there's like I'm just saying there's like something there that like it's not the last time that it happens, but I don't think it's been fully delved into, if that makes sense, within the story. His relationship with his father, but also just like the way that he reacts in those kinds of situations, like I'm interested to see like what comes of that within like exploring his character in the future. Final thing though, as soon as that happens, Bree's running. So she sees Nick is down, and it is immediately like, and it's not even running to save him necessarily, but just like she's, you know, they have this bond already. Again, it's only been 2 days, or this is the second day. They've barely known each other 48 hours. And she's running. She barrels into the demon just as Cell swings Nick's sword. Together, they send the body in one direction and the head in another. So, shit's crazy.
Well, in my notes, I have this as stop. It's healer time. Because we go into chapter 14, and we find out that Nick, his father, and Evan aren't the only ones who were injured. When Bree's in the basement infirmary, they're also on a table is Tor.
Well, because they split up.
Get hurt? We don't know.
Because there was like it was like I skipped over it. But there was the Hellhound, and then there was another Hellhound. There was another one that was semi nearby, so they split up so that there were folks who could deal with the two Hellhounds. But
Tor getting hurt was off page, so we didn't know that Tor was hurt until we get to the infirmary, and then that's when we find out that there's 4 people laid out. So that is Dr. Davis, Nick, Evan, and Tor. This is the first time we see ether, like, depicted for healing. Like, we know that William used it, but because we're seeing from Bree's perspective and Bree was incapacitated the first time healing was happening to her, we don't actually see the ether, like, as it formulates. We just saw it formulate, like, their armor, but not, like, this is the first time we're seeing it with the healing. And it sounds cool as well, also very cinematic. So he's triaging folks, and as he's triaging folks, he kind of like,
he stands over their bodies while ether drips down onto their wounds and disappears.
Yeah. No, he strides to the table. His hands are coated in a silver ether so thick it looks like mercury. And there's a bright citrus smell of his signature that's just attached to it, and so like it's like he's saying murmuring a fluid lyrical language that she doesn't understand, and it drifts into their wounds and disappears under their skin, which is again super cool. So Bree, like, we are catching up with Bree where she's catching up, and when they got to the lodge, like, most of the group had dispersed, but and the pages were sent home, and Bree ended up in the infirmary with everyone who's here. And being in the infirmary is bringing back a lot of her trauma from being in the hospital, and she's kind of like reliving those moments. She's in shock from everything that she's seen from the awakening into the battles, and there's a level of she's curious about like what's going on, who is that, what's going on, and there's a level of like Bree not necessarily like having a role yet, and so just like not knowing where to put herself but be there by Nick's side. Also she's like this like ongoing loyalty to make sure she's shown on the field. Well, while she's there, she's kind of like muddled. She's not thinking too much. And the first thing that kind of pops her out of her just like watching and observing is Cell, who bursts through the door like an unholy angel in a long black coat and his eyes blazing like twin suns.
Just drama.
He is so I wrote he is the drama, and when he comes in, like his entrance is so big that like he like doesn't even notice, like he's like Cell, like there's a reason why Nick says to be afraid of Cell, and even the people who've been there, like the people who work as pages in the infirmary, they dip out. Like they
do. They say,
"All right,
I'm gonna
head out."
They're like, "Cell's here?
Did you know?
I don't get paid.
I think it's really funny too, though, that
It's time.
Go home.
we're about to get a lot of
also-
like exposition and explanations, which I think is great. But you can kind of see how each of them, like I guess like the main characters or the bigger characters, kind of deal with Cell in their own like specific ways. But all like the unifying thing is that they are all very like short and to the point. Like there's not a lot of flowery words. They're either like, calm down, go
Yeah,
away.
they're like, here he goes.
Or they're just like, I'm out, I'm dipping. But like, no one's trying to like reason with or talk to him.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like really interesting in.
He has no
Yeah,
friends.
and William
I would say William is
Is-
the closest he has to a friend.
is much. I'm not gonna say patient because he doesn't show Cell a lot of patience, but he's a lot more like caring about it. You know, he's gonna make sure empathetic, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
he's caring about everyone.
the lack of like
though.
putting like you just kind of get the sense that if you're going to the way to like quote unquote handle Cell, or at least like it's just to like interact with Cell, is like you cannot put up with his bullshit, you cannot let him
Interact with him.
push you around, but you also don't get all up in his face. You're just like, you say what you gotta say, you get him to calm down or you get him to leave. Like, Bree out here trying to argue sense into that man. It's futile.
Well, he comes in here and he, again, a love scene, because he's like, he strides over to where Nick is, and there's no hitch in his step despite the fact that his ankle is broken. So Bree's questioning, did William heal him already? But we know it's not that. And he examines Nick where he lies. Nick's shirt is open, exposing his chest and stomach. His usually handsome, open face is pale and pinched, and he hasn't opened his eyes since they have arrived. You better not die, Davis, Cell orders. Not now.
A triangle.
And-
It's happening. We're triangulating.
It's there. The full triangle, not
No,
a hinge.
that
A
triangle closes, okay?
Okay. And so I just like, it's so funny to me because Will is like doing what he's doing. He gives him the update on how Nick is doing. He tells him how Davis is doing. And even gives an update to like the rest of the squires and science that are there, which is an afterthought for Cell. He's like, I don't want them to die either, but like we know who you're here for. And it's funny because like this is how you know how much Cell is the drama and everybody knows him to be the drama, because after he's walked into this room, suddenly these other two Legendborn in a doorway too. So he is the drama and everybody's
Right, they're
here
like,
for the
oh,
tea.
y'all get a
And-
debrief now? Because I want to know.
It's not even they're like,
What's
tea
going
time?
on?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's pull up. Because, like, where's Cell going? Oh, he going, it's tea time. Let's go. So, Russ, who is already in the room, responds to Cell being like, everyone needs to heal or whatever. It's like, this is like the 9th attack in 2 weeks. And Fitz, who came in the doorway after Cell appeared, is like, this in the first Utchel spotted in years. And Cell was like, they didn't come to feed or infuse themselves with ether. They came with a purpose, and they knew we'd be gathered tonight knew we'd gather, and knew the sign of Arthur would be here. How? And Russ, this is what I'm saying, they underestimate the demons, says, Shadowborn don't know anything. They're too brainless to think, much less plan. And so Cell pushes back against that, but then when Cell like actually turns to go, he spots Bree, stops, and then he says, "What is she doing here?" So he's also Deborah Cox.
I do
think,
think
how did you
that,
get here? And he's trying to invoke the pride from Lion King 2 and being like, she's not one of us. Why is she here? Especially at this demon attack where I just told y'all I am suspicious that how do they demons know?
But I do think
what
though
was going on
that
today?
like when you're talking about Russ underestimating the demons and stuff, like I think this is a matter of the fact that they, for the most part, and who is or Squires for one of William, right? Felicity. Oh,
Felicity.
Never mind.
Felicity.
It's Fitz.
Felicity.
Okay, anyway. I don't know. There's too many of them. It's complicated. But for the most part, and what they're
Evan Squires
yes. So for the most part and for what they're used to, they're seeing Easels, which are kind of brainless. They skitter through the gate. They don't really have a plan. But that's not what this is. And so the part that I think Cell and some of the ones that are a bit wiser, but like are trying to impress upon Russ and like the rest of the Legendborn is like, this is not, oh, an Isol escaped a gate and it's like getting football players to fight at a party and eating the chaos. Like this is a bigger thing.
Right. And I think too, like, and it comes up like as they talk too, is like Felicity just awakened. Russ hasn't been bonded to her yet, but he about to be awoken too, like in about an hour. So it's also just like him again, he hasn't yet shifted his brain into the like real, you know what I mean? It's all in his head, it's still stories and like theory and whatever, but like no bro, like you're
and the last
like this is
war
happening.
Or the last time like this many, I don't know if it's like the last time this many has been awakened, but the last time like Arthur was awakened, like we said earlier, it's like 1775, right? So like they are still, there's like a large amount of the order who are still operating on like this is like any other like order class, or you know, this is what we're expecting, especially for these first year pages and stuff. Like they're not fully comprehending what the war is, and like as much as we're about to see like how little Bree knows, we also kind of are about to see like how little it is impressed upon these kids what the real dangers are, because for so many of their parents and the vassals, like there wasn't actually that much danger. It was all theoretical because nothing really went down. Shit's going down now. So it's like, you know, it's the difference of like when people tell you to sign up for,
It put the legend in the Legendborn. Like, it was all legend, it was all mythos or whatever. But what I'm saying, too, is I'm saying, like, nowhere in the mythos and legend as they were teaching it to the kids was, like, take this seriously. Like, whenever you are, like, there's no telling when you're going to run into someone who has strategy or whatever, so always been on the lookout for.
Well, we don't really know that, like, but because I also think that there is something to your experience.
It was all, like,
you know, it's like when it's like people who signed up for the military before 9/11 was like, join the military and then they'll pay for your college and you get to go travel or whatever. And then there was a bunch of people when we went to war. Now it's different because we've been at war for 20 something fucking years. But there were a bunch of people who like were like, the last time we were at war was Vietnam or whatever. I'm signing up for this thing for the perks without actually thinking that the consequences and the dangers are really going to happen. And then we're like, oh shit, when, you know, they got shipped off to conflict. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing here too, which is that like they know intellectually, but they because they haven't seen it.
I understand that.
And they were taught this, but because they haven't seen it, they started to discount it and act like it was never going to happen.
I don't know that it was ever taught, is what I'm saying. I think that they would have a healthier respect for demons had it been taught. Like, you never underestimate what the demons are up to, because they, like, it may look like they're just ranking.
But I think you can tell that it was taught a little bit because, like, Cell's taking it seriously. Like, there are people in there that are.
I mean,
Cell is a Merlin. I feel like Merlins and Legendborn are two different classes. Yeah.
I think Merlins are taught different things. I also think there's a it's like racism, right? So they don't need to know that in the minds of, like, the regents or whoever has decided to put forth this, like, idea that demons are not smart, they're savage, they're brainless, you know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff serves a purpose.
They don't want them to think
serves a purpose for them to think that way. Obviously, the Merlins are taught something different, in part because they're part demon, but also because of, like, the nature of their oaths and, like, why they're raised the way they are. They would be taught something different. But the Legendborn, and even the, like, Tages, and, like, you know, Russ is a squire, so he signed up for this. He didn't have to become a squire, but they have a different kind of privilege and, like, a different kind of power. And especially, I think, the higher you're ranked, like, you don't need to know, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be whereas, like, we find out and, like, we see more in Bloodmarked when we meet, like, other demons like Valak and stuff. Like, they're, like, human, like, you know what I mean? Or Valak can be in, like Cell, but still, like, they are as complicated, multifaceted as humans are. But it serves a purpose for them to be thought of as.
It's like any war game. Like, you don't want to, like, personalize the person that you're trying to fight against. And I get this as a strategy, but I feel like the regents themselves have underestimated some of the demons, and therefore that leads to them teaching strategy.
Sure, but I also think that they weren't the ones who came up with that ideology. You know what I mean? Like, they also feed into that, which, again, is not to say that it's a good thing. It actually comes to a detriment to everyone involved, which is what racism does too. Yeah.
I'm just, like, noting, like, how is it. I'm noting that it permeates the order.
It was
like, no one. It seems like so many people in the order are underestimating the demons, and then that doesn't happen by happenstance. Like,
but what I'm saying though is that, like, we'll hear from Fitz, for example, who is a lower ranked person, and he is pissed that they are underestimating this, because for him and, like, his line and stuff like that, like, being awakened is a given, and they're out there, like, they're fighting, like, the smaller E cells and stuff, but, like, even when you're doing that more often, then you like, he has a resentment, higher respect for what's happening, and some, what I think of as valid resentment, but, like, some resentment about the fact that you have someone like Russ being like, they're dumb, it's not a big deal, you know, or.
I feel like Fitz's thing is more about, like, it's more about the rest of them, like, the entitlement and the it's not a big deal part, and less about, like, you're underestimating how strategized these demons are. I think it's more about, like, you're so like, above, and we'll get there. It's like I have thoughts on that when we get there. Sarah pops up and is like, Bree was taken hostage by the Achol cell. She's covered in slime, frightened half to death. Earlier in the chapter, Bree notes that her hands have not stopped shaking since she's come back. Like, she's not good. And Sarah's like, take it easy. I'm surprised by her defense of me. Bree is surprised by Sarah's defense of her, and she's like, you know, like okay, like someone that she doesn't even know is like defending her. And Sarah says like she even tried to save Nick. And then Sel's gaze hardens and he says, we're to assume it's a coincidence that the Ichol came back with her in their arms. And Bree's only like response is, I tried to help. But she's in shock. And she hates how her voice sounds so small. She hates that it sounds like how she feels. And Sel responds to Bree's response, like clearly she is not in a good state. Responds to her with, you tried what, little girl? Little girl.
Yeah, he's 18.
She's 2 years younger than you.
She's a child.
She is only 2 years younger than you. Only because you are voting age are you actually considered a man. But she's literally only 2 years younger than you. And you're calling her a little girl because you are just above it all. Because you are a king's mage. Because you are all this. Seriously?
I also think it's really funny, though, because he's like, oh, it's a coincidence that that's who they got. But it's also like, dude, you took her sight away and drug her to the middle of the forest.
Right.
And then all the pages left her. They were just like, peace out. No one was like, oh, we're missing someone. Let's go back and help. Like, she was lost.
Yeah.
You know? Like...
Like, the problem is, it's like, Sel is reaching, but he's not reaching that far. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to make the dots connect, they do connect.
But also, like, it's, you can find what you want when you put it together that way.
You didn't connect
like,
the dots
so she's coincidentally was there in the forest at the quarry, and then she was coincidentally, like, here. And then she, she was confronted by the Hellhound, and then she's here. So it's all coincidence, huh? Is that what it is?
And let's also not stray too far away from the fact that Sel is also angry because when he looks at Bree, she be looking kind of good. And he's warring with himself between, and like, you know.
And she just got here, and all of a sudden, his dude has a cracked skull on the bed.
How did this girl, how does this girl have my man's wrapped around her finger? Meanwhile, I've been trying to get him back with me for months, and he ain't want nothing to do with me. But here you come, and now he all here, and he all about you. But also you look kind of cute, so I can kind of see it, but also like, why you and not me? Like, the triangle is triangling, and it is messing with his poor little brain.
And she just did it in one day. He can't take.
He can't.
He cannot take. So Bree's trying to respond. She can't. She ain't got it. She ain't got the juice. Sel knows it. He's taking advantage of it. And Sarah steps in again with a warning tone and tells Sel to leave Bree alone. But he's already so close in front of Bree, standing so close that his gaze rains down onto her face like embers. Sparks. The air between us starts to cook, forcing a gasp from my lips. Sparks. Okay, they're in it.
The fanfic writes itself.
It's not even gonna be fanfic because it's right there in the canon.
Tracy said,
it's right there.
Y'all hungry? I got you. About to feed y'all.
So Bree has to call upon like the fact that like she's being in the infirmary is breaking up her, taking her back to the hospital, and she's like going through that like moment. She's like, this trauma is reinforced with the shock, is reinforced with all these emotions that she's feeling right now, and so she is like stubbornly not going to run away from her problem, and uses that to like stand back up to Sel, and then he leans into her. And then he says to her, there's a lie about you, Paige Matthews. And if I find out that you're a part of this, and he bares his teeth and rolls away whenever she says that she isn't. Then he asks where Pete is. And they figure out what they're going to do arrangements for like the rest of the night. If they want, how they're going to maintain, like if there are any more Shadowborn that have come. But he doesn't think there are going to be any. And then he says, I want her gone. She doesn't belong here. and then he sweeps through the door and leaves the room in a shaky silence. Russ, I love Russ for this, because again, I'm telling you, it's tea time. They are enjoying this to an extent. Russ says,
Don't even
the
worry
worst
about
part
it.
about that guy is that you're never sure if it's safe to talk crap about him.
Because rule number one, be afraid to sell.
Like, I wish I could say how I feel, but I know how his magic works, and I don't want to get got, so I'm gonna keep it to myself. Yes. So that's not even Nick's rule. That's the whole order's rule. Like, don't FSL. Don't even. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did. Do not try sell.
Try Jesus.
Sarah turns to Bree, and her eyes are equal parts worry and apology. Sorry about Sel. He's protective. You do belong here. You are one of us now. And she gets Will to check over Bree whenever he gets a chance. Bree is like very eager to get the attention off of her, so she changes the subject and she asks about what that monster was, the Uchel, and Sarah informs her that while Isels are lesser demons who are strong enough to go full corp, they look like animals or creatures. The Uchels are greater demons, and they are less about mischief, more about murder, and they're strong enough to go corporal. As soon as they cross over and through the gate. And she mentions that they also look more human. And for me, like, whenever I heard the description of the Uchel, it really gave me the villain from the Eternals, like that morphing creature thing. That's what an Uchel looks like in my brain. And like, they're humanoid, like two limbs, bipodal, but like they don't really fully look human. And that's what I'm thinking. That's what they're like trying to explain. We also learn the Awakening Order as they continue to talk about demons and the ability to pass human and what does that mean. And so Fitz rolls his eyes at the idea of like the demons that can pass for human thought, because it's just a scary story that they tell the kids late at night, and that they are legend and lore. And Will, rightfully, I love Will for so many reasons. Will frequently on the side of like, let's be real here. Says we are legend and lore. Signed Baldwin.
I think it's not even that she can't cover it up. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not also that she can't cover it up. It's also that like
here, except for them itself, for the most part.
Right. But I think emotionally, yes. I think emotionally, but also I think it's like she's in too deep now, right? Like it
shows
even
how
if
little
she
somehow knows. Again, she came in here trying to be like, I'm a perpetrate, and they're not gonna know how much I don't know. And now she's just full on. She can't cover it up, so she's gonna ask these questions.
Nothing. You know what I mean? She still wouldn't be able to cover up that she doesn't know like half of.
But I'm saying
she maybe.
In this moment, she can't, because she emotionally can't. Like, she emotionally doesn't have it to guard herself.
She is also in shock, too, so she can't even... Yeah, she's not even thinking to cover it up.
But I feel like she would be more likely to hold it to herself until Nick was away. Yeah.
What are y'all saying?
But I feel like because she doesn't have... Like, she's not together. She's, like this is coming out. She can't. She needs answers now, because she's so, like... confronted, like everything is too much, so she needs some answers while she's in this place of like. And
they keep using these like titles, which I think, like, as someone who doesn't know titles, like, this is something that I don't know if you guys have ever like started a new job or gone to like a class or something, and people start using like initialisms or like jargon, and you're like, what the fuck does that mean? Because at a certain point, like, she can't actually sit back and listen and just take it in, because like, what the hell is an awakening? What is and these words are, half of these words are in Welsh.
Yeah, I feel like for her, she would, again, if she were still trying to be like, I'm in stealth mode, like, kind of thing, she might wait until Nick was available, but like, because she's not, like, that's where she is. So this is where we start hearing more info about what's going on. So, one, when she asks, why do the demons want Nick? And then that's when everyone looks at her and then each other. And then that's when they all know that she's Jon Snow. And at this, Russ stands up and says, because he's our king, or he will be formally when he's awakened. And then Sarah says, if he's awakened. And then Fitz scoffs, a red flush building at his collar. You really think that's an if star? We're called in order. Flick's line is fourth, which means a sign of K up north must have been called recently too. And Lord Davis didn't bother to tell us. Tor and the line of Tristan will be next. Then the kid at Western, and then the line of Lancelot, and then number 1, Nick. Then boom, Camlon.
Also, they think this poor kid in Western, who they think is a scion of Lancelot, has gone his whole life in this bullshit, and is gonna find out.
Is Lancelot?
Nah.
I know. I wonder what. I would be so interested. Like, the thing is I don't really feel bad because
I just want a short story.
I'd love a short
story.
Like, some thick. Somebody write this.
Who knows? But yeah. Or even if he, like, showed up in the next book just briefly and he's like, yeah, I tried my whole life for this shit. Meanwhile, I wasn't even Legendborn to begin with. And he's, like, really salty about it. And you can just be like, okay, dude, but, like, you can live past 35, so shut up.
But what if we find out, like, Nick is the line of Lancelot through, like, Guinevere or whatever, like, their love child, and the other kid was, like, the line of Lancelot through, like, the, like, some random, or like Morgan, like some like Lafayette, like something that's like Sutton should not be together.
Yeah, but I think it's also funny to think about. It's not just this kid at Western. It's like him, his daddy's daddy, since Jordan Davis, right? Or
everybody.
Jordan Davis, is that right? No, Jonathan Davis.
Yes, it sounds better.
No,
I was like, this is my family.
Jordan Davis.
I was like, this is not right. Jonathan.
I'm like, for me, I was like, wasn't that a kid who got
no
murdered?
It was that as well. Jesus. I was probably stuck on it because it's my family, but that as well.
That's the reference point for me. I'm just like,
you're like, this don't sound good, and it don't sound right. But yeah, just thinking about like all of that whole line, and then they all find out, like, this is how you find out.
Plus, all of the shift happened after the last time Arthur was awoken, so like, or whoever the scion of Arthur like was
1800s.
So, like, they would have no way of knowing.
Because
it happened in like
colonial rape during the colonial times.
But I'm saying in terms of like they're 100%. But what I'm saying is that it happened like after the last Camland, so that they wouldn't have. It's not like somebody was awakened.
Yeah.
In,
no,
like,
they've just been out here with like, and like no reason why they shouldn't be out here.
We don't know where Arthur's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even Lancelot has not been awakened.
But I want to know how. I want to know how that the Lancelot felt, because I feel like the Lancelot legend is so messed up for Lancelot. So just like to be part of the think you're part of that Lancelot legend and still get screwed over is hilarious. Like for just like the karma of it all.
Like, are they like what is that family anymore? Like they're not like, you know what I mean? Like all these people were like lieges and scions. Like dude is just a regular kid. Do they like move him down to vassalage? Like imagine.
Yeah, I mean I think that they become vassals, but like also like we don't know how old he is. Is he is he 20? Is he 21? Is he 22? Because then okay, cool, fine. I was aging out anyway. Whatever. If I'm 17 and I go from being a scion to being like a page.
But also, it's like we were talking about like the line, like the people ahead, like his people who preceded him, his ancestors and stuff. But also like think about, because like we get in the later chapter that they co-train at least 9 other people with your like line should you go down. So think about the 9. That's 10 folks taken out.
Right.
All of them they all got a reorder now.
Who just found out.
None of y'all are doing nothing with Lancelot. Maybe a couple of y'all are also related to Nick. Maybe that'll work out for you. But for the majority,
Right.
That's a lot of reordering. That's a lot of, like, upheaval and people who are annoyed.
Well, I will say on the bright side, like, the vassals and stuff, like, I don't know, you can't really take away their influence. Like, the people that, like, you know, they've aged out and then they become senators and all that shit. Like, you can't, you know, that's theirs. You got it. So, like, yay generational wealth. With, like, no, not losing any kids to 35 or whatever, but, like, yeah. In the future, it's a big drop in prestige.
We gotta talk. We have a side spin. I don't know. We're gonna talk about that.
It's like a bonus episode or something.
Finish off. Yeah. So Rush shakes his head to the whole Camelon thing, and says, "Come on, man, don't exaggerate." And Fitz says, "Exaggerate? You think I'm exaggerating? The scion of the line Limerich, your scion, has awakened. Welcome to our reality, Squire Copeland. You high-range kids get to play around and pretend we're not actually at war, while the rest of us are awakened and dying every other year." Fury contorts his features. Camelon is coming, whether you believe it or not. No one says anything for a long moment, and then here goes Bree.
What?
Once again. Like, at least it does break the silence.
What are those?
But it also does not work out for her to break this silence this way.
Yeah.
Bree says, "What is Camelon, angry man who is already pissed off about other things?"
No, they're really sitting here like, it's really interesting because it's a parallel into like when Bree was being healed the first time around, and she's like trying to feel Nick out, and Nick is like, somebody sent you into this with no information, and now he's the person who sent her into this with no information. Although he didn't really send her, she came for him, but he did not send for her. But still, it's like very funny.
I want to say too that the high-ranking, low-ranking, like, I think it makes sense a little bit in, like, Merlin's day. And not in the sense of, like, or I guess it makes sense in, like, a military kind of sense, if you were thinking about this in terms of front lines and all that kind of stuff. But from a humanitarian and order, like, group dynamic of these, like, people trying to be a unit and look out for each other and all that stuff, it feels designed to breed resentment. Like, if you are a lower ranked line,
that's what nobility and elitism is,
and constantly awakened, constantly under threat, and then constantly, because we find out later, once you're awakened, like, usually their life expectancy drops dramatically to like 35. So from like birth until 22, you're all about training and learning all this shit, and then you have 13 years to be like chilling. If you're lucky, I guess. Like, your reward for all of that fighting and being under threat is then to die young. It just feels like a bad system. And I'm benching Merlin soon, but I kind of want to bench him right now.
It's completely it's a horrible system.
He'll get his.
It's by design, because it's like, when you're on top, why do you care what happens to the lay folk? So, as a designer and game master, you create create the game in such a way that you, the head, will sacrifice every other limb before it comes to you, and that's what they do.
See, but I'm always of the...
They are able to buy... But I'm saying they're able to buy people's allegiance because they promise them the nobility of it all, the prestige of it all, the reputation of it all, the economic gain of it all. And so that's how they maintain the system, even though it's an unfair system.
And I understand that, and I totally see that's... But I'm always of the assumption, and I guess this is why capitalism doesn't work for me, and why I'm such a radical of like, this works to an extent, but at a certain point you gonna want me to have your back. Am I gonna have it?
And that's time for stabby.
Because when it comes to like when like I said, when we're in peacetime and I'm never getting awakened, this is a great system for me, right? Like,
Or when you're only getting awakened to take out, like, the low priority, like, things that, like, are not going to, like, put your life in danger.
No. Because even then, their life expectancy goes down. So there's a cost, even when they're not fighting these, like, bigger Camlin-esque level wars or whatever. There's a cost to them at all times. Every 2 years or whatever, there's a cost to them. We haven't, like, William kind of goes into this knowing I'm not long for this world because I'm a line of Gawain, I'm 11th or whatever. When the shit hits the fan, and this is like the thing with, again, with like the way our capitalistic system is set up and all this other shit, when you get to the point where like you get to that moment in time, they have been resenting you. They have seen this play out
for generations.
And then you want them to stand beside you and have your back. I don't know.
Yep.
You would see me leave. I would be like, I'm dying at 35 anyway, so y'all got this. This is for me and my ancestors.
Yeah. I feel like another component of that like is interesting is I wonder if we ever will hear about those families, like hear about like we know that Bree's mother and like her mother's line is like fated to pass away early. I wonder if we hear from the 11th ranked, 13th ranked lines ever about like their parents having being like left before their time as well. And the level of resentment, like Fitz is like a figurehead for that, but like how much of like how deeply does it run, how many different like what line does it go up to, like is line 7 the one that's been like the like dividing line between resentment and okay, like where does that end? And like if there's anyone building up like anything around it, like well maybe in a future book, but
also I think that like not everyone, like we'll see, and then I guess we'll discuss next episode, like not everyone is like not everyone resents.
Yeah,
I don't think that everyone aligns.
So there's that too.
Yeah. So to finish this all up.
Yeah.
After Bree says hi, already angry man, what's Camlon? Fitz whistles and shakes his head. I don't care if he is king. Somebody's gonna have to give Nick Davis a talking to. Bringing a page forward without telling her crap is how we get pages dead. Y'all have fun with Legendborn 101. I'm out. Like, did I not just
said, you know what, on that note,
that y'all be putting this out here because y'all don't have any regard for anyone who is not a freaking top 3 scion? And here we go. The head, the man of the hour that we're obviously worried about, and here he go. How worried is he about us? So what is Bree's response to this? Nick tells me things.
That's the thing. She can't tell them that like. She can't deny that he didn't tell her anything, but she can't say,
this is on my fault. Like, I'm ignorant by my this is on me.
My own design. Like, she can't actually tell them that, but she also like doesn't want them to think that Nick is like negligent.
You don't expose your mans.
I think she's in shock and stuff, but like, there's also like the like, if she was able to be quicker on the uptake, like. I'm sure he told me, but I just got attacked by a demon, so can we... I need a refresher. Like, y'all been doing this for your whole life, and I learned... It's my 3rd day out here.
Right.
But
I forgot
it's such a basic thing, though, too. Like, it's like the thing, though. That's the problem. Like, I can understand if you didn't remember every vassal, but, like, you don't... The whole thing is, like, fighting for Camlon. So, what did he tell you?
Yeah.
Finishing all off, Will finishes healing Evan, and he just like is like, you know what, sighs. I think it's time for me to show you around. And that's where we end.
Yay, we get William next.
We had a good amount of Will
episode
being like, for me to be like, this is it. I'm so happy we're here. We have made it to the Willennium because I love it.
Yeah. And speaking of which, who's your MVP?
William. I also give Sar an MVP just because I feel like she like pulled Bree out of the way when Cell and the Uchel were going at it, and stands up for Bree against Cell when he starts calling her all out her name and stuff and losing his mind in the infirmary. So I rate Sar for being like, she took the oath, she's in now, let's move on.
Yeah. But mostly William, because he's...
Mostly William.
Really, he has so much sense. And he can, everybody's alive.
Busy. Letting all these people just chitter-chatter in his ear.
He's multitasking. He's multitasking, fighting,
no one's died.
And healing. No.
Right. And he doesn't have a squire yet. So he's doing this on his own. Like, once he gets a squire and somebody, and like, it's also crazy that he doesn't have a squire.
I think his squire probably aged
rank,
out.
right? So like, he's been awakened.
That's my question. That was one of my questions in the next round of chapters. I was gonna say, did they die?
Yeah.
Like, is this like, again, he's 11th, so like he just can't keep a squire because
I think you would kind of see that in his like
hear if they die, but I just assume
but maybe they aged out.
Personality.
Either way, he's doing this by himself.
Yeah,
I think 20.
Because isn't William like 20?
Benched.
I benched Russ. For kind of doing what Porshèa, for being the embodiment of what Porshèa was talking about just like not taking this seriously, not like really internalizing the risk that they're taking, and a part of that is like he's higher ranked, and so it's not in his mind an actual threat, but I think that there's something really arrogant and disgusting about that, like not taking it seriously when you see and know that there are lower ranked people in this order who get awakened every day, like are going to be awakened and are sacrificing, and like I would hope that they would take it seriously because of that, and then Cell for just doing the most at all times. Like he could have beat that Uchel twice as fast if he hadn't spent all that energy being salty and mean to Bree for no reason and sulking around.
I feel like the fact is that he can do it anyway. Like he can be dramatic and beat an Uchel in the same breath, and
but he could
also give everybody their oaths in the same night with it being intoxicated off the ether in the same day. He can do it all.
But he could be more efficient if he calmed the fuck down.
He is the drama king.
Yeah, very much so. I was going back and forth before we like started talking, but I knew that was gonna happen, that I would like figure it out by the end. I benched Lord Davis. It's too much. It's too much. Relax, bro. Like, it's just very like pretentious and extra, and then you gonna jump into a fight you ain't got no business jumping into. Now your back is cracked. Like, hate that for you. So he's benched.
The man's went splat. So I am Bree this moment. I'm so confused. I don't know. I want to bench the whole like regents. I want to bench, but I don't feel like we have enough information about what the regents did in this moment, so I couldn't really get them. But I feel like they're the real reason in the season for like this, like what we're coming to in these like chapters. I kind of want to bench Bree because I feel like she really like stepped into this so wrong-headedly that she is learning on the go in the worst possible way, and it's all on her. Like, she has no one to blame for her being in a situation but herself. And for her exposing herself because she doesn't know, that's all on her. Like, it's all, like, anything that she's into right now, it's all her fault. And I can't blame it on anyone else because she did it.
Which is why you should have benched her last episode. But yes, the consequences of her actions.
Last episode, she was more like, we're in here, I'm fine by sitting in my pants. I can't blame her. I can't bench her any more than I bench any other main character, which I do from time to time. But like in that moment, she was being a main character. In this moment, it's like these are the repercussions to your actions, and you are already clearly a traumatized person, and you're only reinforcing the trauma and making it worse by putting yourself in this place. And it all could have been avoided had you simply asked some questions and waited to get some answers.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Like, what's a fire and why does it burn? Like, you could have asked some questions and got some.
All right.
That's where I am with Free right now. So
thank you for listening. Join us next week when we discuss chapters 15 through 17.
Wizard Team is part of the Black Nerds Create Collective. If you want to keep up with our content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com and follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Wizard Team Pod and at Black Nerds Create. Bye.
Bye.